Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Guns of Navarone, RMP, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to hand over to G Plus and Discord so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Chilling as usual.
Chilling with the ribbon, or just chilling without ribbon?
I haven't been out to do any rips. We kind of had a lot of rainy time right now, so I don't want to get sick.
What do you do in the rainy time? What do you cook?
Normally cook pork chops inside and stuff like that. Pork chops and chicken.
Okay, Dr. Scholes, keep chilling.
And we try to do.
You been taking any new pictures?
I had a couple pictures. You know what? I'll tell you what I do is I'll send them to you in your DMs, and that way you can take a look at it.
All right.
Give me just a second.
Cool.
Got it. Good show yesterday, Nathan. I had to leave a little early.
Was it? What did we do yesterday?
I know I have to keep reminding you all the time, but because your day is full of stuff. But again, just one of those really good shows where we went through things. It wasn't like we were on one housekeeping question, but we were on many, and we took extra time with each one and just pointed out things. And I mean, for the panel and for people who are fans of your show, I think it's important to get back to the basics like that and add content instead of just say, no, next question, So I thought it was good.
Yeah, I prefer the shows where there's less than the Discord muting going on. Talk through you constantly. Which doesn't necessarily... Might be good entertainment for certain people that want to think either side are winning by screaming through each other, but it's not that educational then.
Correct. And if they want to come in, they can come in. All right. I'll go ahead and save that image. I'll send you the two things that Redman sent me. See what he wants to say about it. All right,
okay.
Masturbate. Hey, Redman?
Yes, sir.
I just transferred it over to Master B to Nathan, the map overlay as well as the pictures. Okay. So have at it as Nathan talks to you.
Oh, no problem. This is from the same building that I took the pictures from, where I see Stone Mountain 14 miles away. I went to the other side of that building, and I took a picture of this other mountain that was far in the distance, which is Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's showing to be 241 miles away. You can see it with the naked eye on a clear day.
Oh wow! This
how high
mountain's
were
240 miles away. It doesn't
yeah,
look.
Well, you know,
stuff in the near foregrounds like these telecommunication towers. Is that what these are in the near foreground? Because they look really close.
Yeah, they're fairly close.
How close is really
How-
close? A mile or 10 miles?
You give or take. I give you another picture just as well. I would say they're probably about 5 miles away. They're pretty tall.
Okay, well, they are far away then. This is obviously a good
Yeah.
camera then. What's the camera?
My cell phone.
This is your cell phone?
Yes.
Detail on
Hang on.
these towers for a cell phone. What kind of cell phone is it?
It's a Note 8.
Okay. Cell phone though. Mad. Very good. What's the this is just showing you location, presumably you've screenshotted where it is and so on.
Yeah, straight line of sight. It'll be shorter than that. I think it's like 180 miles. But if you take the route, it'll be 240 miles.
I see. Cool. Very
I'm
cool.
looking for
How
another
tall? How
picture.
tall of a building or place were you when you took this?
This building, the height of that building is I think it's like 744 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
Like 42nd floor, I'm going to say. Is it 42?
49.
Oh, damn. I was close. 49. That's pretty high, right?
Yeah. But I thought it was pretty cool that I could see the Blue Ridge Mountains. When I can get up there and do some more observations, then I get get better quality.
Epic.
So, are you saying that from that floor, the 49th floor, if you did a straight line, it's more 180 miles, but if you drive based on this GPS route that they gave you, it's 241.
241. Yep.
Did you do it on the Google Earth or Google Maps to confirm, or?
That was Google Maps.
No, I mean you know how they draw that one straight line. Did you do that, or how'd you get the 180?
I got that in here. Let me find it for you. I did a straight line from the building.
Okay, that's all. Yeah,
So yeah, fine. 180 is the crow flies. That's the real figure. But yeah.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Hey, that's right.
what am I hearing about 180 on a straight line?
No, nobody's assuming a tangent plane. Just detailing the distance to the Blue Ridge Mountains from what's the building?
The building is called 191 Peachtree Towers.
Okay, boring name. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, it's a building.
Oh, well, it's what do you call it? It was the fourth tallest building in Atlanta. So, if 10th man, you look at your DMs. These are 2 different days I took of Stone Mountain.
Yeah, I just sent it to Nathan. The master be your last one.
Hey, I had them up while you were talking.
I just sent the new one.
No
Oh,
problem.
okay. Oh, this is straight line. Gotcha. Yeah, 184. Gotcha.
But I mean, only thing I'm gonna say to this is just just anybody that's listening, audience, go out, take your own photos. Enjoy a lot of things that you see, because sometimes you're not gonna get to see it. And, this
Don't
is
you
life.
think it's
We got one life to live.
Sorry, I said, don't you think it's
Go ahead,
amazing
Leslie.
that you can see so far?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
And not just that, proving angular size changes with distance, and that it goes below eye level.
It's only amazing when you have a presupposition that you shouldn't see that far based on a model. Other than that, it's just
Also
like,
true.
yeah, I could just see it. It's nice, clear day today. So is it amazing? Well, it's amazing that it's not being obscured by a ball that we were told we were on. But other than that, no. Sorry, Redman, I know he's asking you, my bad.
No, no problem.
Redman, you sound just like Nathan. That's pretty good. Hey, did you
No.
zoom in when you took the picture, or would they always zoom out?
I zoomed out on a couple of pictures, and the rest of these pictures like zoomed in. It's just like, dude, this one I'm about to send you.
But at best,
Okay.
if it's a phone, it's only got a couple of times optical zoom. The rest is all just zooming in on what you've got. Like cropping it and blowing it up on a screen. It's not actually zooming beyond a couple of times, maybe, on a good phone.
Right.
Oh, I see. So they just magnify it. That's not a real zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a digital zoom.
Yeah. That's the words I was struggling to find. Digital zoom. But, I mean, if it's of note, it's probably got a couple of times zoom, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does pretty good, but once you get into zooming all the way in, you get a lot of, as they call it, noise in the photo. So once you start getting a lot of noise, it looks real staticky.
All right, I just sent 2 more new pictures from Redman to you.
Okay. So this is
If you look
this
at
is
these,
Georgia,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. And if you look at this, I was looking at another side of the building. You can see three different cities. Well, you can see the city of Atlanta at the foot, and the other 2 cities going off in the distance and just shrinking, not going over no curve, just shrinking.
Well, if anything, the bases of them have risen up. So you've got the base of these here towers, and then in the distance, the second city. I don't know what city that is, but the bases are higher.
Right, I got to figure it out.
Yeah, but I'm saying
No,
the bases are higher. They're not going down; they're going up in the frame of the picture.
It's an amazing
Yeah.
distance for a horizon.
Yeah,
It's pretty far.
I got to figure out where these cities are exactly, and I get back with the information for that. But I thought it was pretty cool. You just see stuff getting smaller in the distance.
I just want to give a disclaimer,
Perfection.
just for anybody who's watching this and goes, "Oh right, well, what I'm going to do is compare where this horizon or any perceived obstruction beyond it, not that there is any in this image, is comparable to my Earth curve mathematics that assumes an R value and then reifies the horizon to a physical geometric sphere edge." Yeah, we're not interested in doing that. We're just admiring the view.
You know, I think this is the first picture that, with this much clarity, that I've seen 3 different little townships or cities right in one line. That's pretty cool.
But it does show you it's
Like
all
I
just
said.
optical. I mean, you could have gone on a bad day and you wouldn't even be able to see half the distance.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, I could show you a bad day. I've been up there when it's real foggy. And you can't see nothing.
Yeah, I bet you can't see the buildings in the foreground when it's foggy.
No,
Well,
not at all.
I'll tell you right now that when I went to Catalina on a really bad day where it's foggy and you can't see anything, I had to go by instruments, and I could see the radar doing its thing, and you see the island in the radar or the depiction of it, and it says 20 miles, 18 miles, 10 miles. So I know I'm getting closer to it. I just can't see it. Then other days it's so clear. I see the whole thing as I'm going towards it. It's physical geometry that doesn't move on a flat plane. Except if you're a baller and you need it to move.
Physical hills don't move. Doesn't matter if you're a baller or not.
No, I know, but in their mind, conceptually, it's calculated to move.
That's how I was laughing last night on Jose's, where Chris brings up a horizon picture of, it's just literally showing an ocean and it's showing the sky, but it's a little bit distorted. And nobody wants to claim where the horizon is. Literally, no one.
They're afraid to say the word.
Yeah, because they at least a semi-level understand how the Black Swan works after a year. Some of them do. And when they do, they don't want to even attempt to reify the horizon into a physical sphere edge. Quite the contrary, if they come here, they'll tell us how nobody's claiming it's a sphere edge. And when people hear that, it's so damaging to the globe side. Because the people who hear that, they then think, well, I better not claim it then. It's like, well, that's the premise of your religion and you're hesitant to claim it. Yeah, what does that say?
Everything. Yeah, they've had to jettison Earth curve because of the Black Swan.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Redman, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Choco.
I keep
Hey, Chocolate.
keep on taking pictures.
Good morning,
Keep it up,
guys.
man. Love it. Hey, Chocolate.
Morning, morning.
Wow, you're sounding worse than ever.
Yeah,
Who the heck is that?
I'm on a shitty Bluetooth.
It sounds like
I'm on a sneak mission today, so
Okay.
That might not talk
That's what it sounds like. CIA.
Yep.
No, it sounds like the old Counter-Strike games.
That's it.
I'm on the moon, guys. I'm on the moon.
Pull the string tighter.
Go, go,
Pull the
go.
string and cup
We got a
tighter.
perpetrator.
Hope everybody's all right today.
Mighty fine. Feeling good.
Yeah, just got out of gyms trying to teach the people what scientific is. Those guys are so ignorant to science, it's not even funny.
Well, I thought science was anything they wanted to be.
According to them, it is, yeah.
Until it gets proven wrong, then they tell you our science doesn't prove anything, in spite of the fact that that's
No,
the only thing it does do.
then they attack your profession and what you studied, how you talk.
Oh, there we go. Make
Yeah,
it
but
personal. When the message
fair,
is too
though-
strong, attack the messenger.
Yeah, but he is South African, so it's not really considered a low blow where I'm from.
Kijk, ek kan altyd Afrikaans praat, maar niemand kan verstaan wat ek sê nie.
Are you saying Flatzoid's Bush League?
I say I can always talk Afrikaans, but then no one's going to understand what I'm saying.
I was going to say, start swearing at me in Afrikaans, I'm not going to know. So have at it, but just don't let the YouTube algorithm pick it up.
I'll never do that.
I wonder if it is cross-translatable if you start swearing in, like, I don't know, whatever language.
Well,
would it pick it up?
If you're going to... Well, no, I don't want to say the words on live. I'll rather wait for it, not live. Just now, there's little children listening. Because it's like saying subject, but if you say the Afrikaans word in subject, it says the English F word.
I see. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey,
How are you, Anthony?
How are we all doing?
wonderful.
Very well.
We're trying to figure out Afrikaans.
You trying to figure out what?
Afrikaans.
No, we're
Flatzoid's
not.
from South Africa, so we're going into a language lesson here.
Oh, Afrikaan. I didn't know it. I didn't
Yeah.
know language. I thought we all spoke South
No.
African, right? Or do you
Afrikaan.
mean like?
No. Afrikaans is the language.
I didn't know they had one. I thought they all spoke like that broken English thing that they like Oscar Pistorius.
There are several: French, English,
We
Afrikaans.
actually got 11 national languages here.
Right. It's just a
Does that
big
not
old.
make communication virtually impossible?
Nah, it's just a big old mishmash
No.
melting pot of different languages, right?
Yeah, you sort of understand more or less, but the most languages is, I would say, Xhosa, English and Afrikaans. But yeah, you get a lot of Zulu still. Maybe Tsepedi, maybe Zenda.
Well, we got Zulu from Chocolate. He's on comms.
Roger that.
I know it's a little bit off topic, but I want to shout out Donald Trump for making politics the most interesting I've ever known it in all of my life.
I
It's quite
agree
a
with
character.
that.
Oh,
Whatever you think about him, he's interesting, right?
Anthony, I got sucked in and I can't get out.
no, not
Well,
for me.
he's definitely
No,
one of a kind.
no, not in the slightest.
What do you mean, no?
He's
I mean-
part of the play,
I mean-
according to Nathan. It's all scripted.
I didn't say that.
You
What?
fucking conspiratard.
Who's put words in my mouth? No, certain things are not only scripted, they're admitted to being scripted. Often they've got the little teleprompter thing in front of them, so you know it's scripted. But that isn't what I said.
So do you not think that Trump's interesting? He's made politics interesting, even though you might not like the guy. Do you not think he's made it interesting?
I
Hold
don't
on,
know
Nathan.
this-
Explain what you told me last time. It's all part of a play, right?
Yeah. I mean, Anthony's asking a different question, though. No, I don't find him in the slightest bit interesting. Do I have any interest in Trump? The answer is no.
Not even his wig.
None of him, personally or politically, interests me in the slightest.
Oh, I think he's fascinating. He's just trolling everybody. It's fucking great.
Try not to swear.
Sorry.
Say subject next time. Only Nathan.
Are you gonna start the show earlier again, Nathan? Because of Arwen.
I don't know. Arwen doesn't necessarily pick up on subtlety very well, especially when he blames a language barrier, even though he speaks perfect English.
Well, to be fair, Arwen never gets satire. He never gets sarcasm at all. I'll say something sarcastically, and most people get it. Arwen's like, Tony, why do you have dildos in the background? Like, it's a joke again.
I think that's a cultural thing as opposed to a linguistic thing.
Well, it does it with language as well. I'll say something that was to English people. They realise that I'm taking the piss, and I was like, "What?" Because he just doesn't realise it. But Americans do similar things. They don't spot the satire. Chocolate does, but a lot of Americans don't spot the English satire.
Well, we're having the decency to talk about him while he's not here. One of my favourite traits is that when you explain something to him, he'll understand it, but he won't go through the emotional process of recognition. He'll just describe back to you what you've described to him to recognise what has just happened. For example, if you start insulting, you've explained this to him many times, Anthony, which is to say that when people who are your friends are demeaning you or being insulting, in Britain, that's because actually you're more showing the reverse of how you feel. And it's therefore an affectionate thing when you know that's the case. Now, you've explained that to him when you're calling him a nasty name that could be perceived as nasty, or taking the mickey out of him, which some people could say, well, you're being nasty. No, actually, it's what we would call ribbing, right, Anthony?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he would not necessarily...
a shill all the time. It doesn't mean I think he's actually a shill.
No, but what I'm saying is he'll hear it. Hold on, just one sec. He'll hear it and he'll repeat back that explanation rather than going through the process of a smile in recognition that he's actually being ribbed and therefore that's affectionate. You won't recognise it. It'll just describe the description of what that means to a British person back to you.
That's how I was laughing when my cousin, his surname is Dooley, and when he moved to Liverpool, whenever he said his surname, the people couldn't understand why they're laughing at him, because they're saying he's Dooley.
Dooley?
Yeah.
Well, I know he's got a minimum of 5-minute delay in all my puns, and sometimes indefinite.
Yeah, so do I, though. So do I. But here's the thing. Nathan will often put a comment on one of my videos, and it'll be something negative, right? And it'll be, no, you're a shill or whatever. So I do it back to him. Not all the time, not too much, but sometimes we'll just deliberately... He does it all the time. He's just provocative, Nathan is. But so am I. So
what Anthony doesn't realise is that I mean every word of those comments.
You do, Nathan?
Yes, I do.
I thought we were friends.
No, only when it's on the topic of the sentiment of whatever video you're putting out. I realise that people read it, so the sentiment is true, even if I'm calling you a shill at the end to make light of it or make a humorous aside from the fact that I'm being critical. But often, like with the recent vaccination thing that you got into, I was extremely critical and I meant every word of it.
Can't remember what even that issue was.
I'm not even going to remind you. So it's not.
Obviously, your views and opinions were important to me, Nathan.
Yeah, that's how important they were. You can't even remember.
Yeah,
but whatever it was, Anthony, you took the shots well.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Arwin, 10th Man, Chocolate Saiyan, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Yo, yo.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey,
Enthusiastic.
Nathan, just before we get engaged in housekeeping, I just need to point something out.
Okay.
You're obviously reading a script when you do your intro because it's not changed. Like, it's pretty much verbatim every time you say it. But sock accounts can't rejoin the stream anymore, can they? So you're gonna have to change that bit because, like, they can't be kicked, they can't join, and they can't be kicked anymore because they can't join. So you don't need that bit in anymore. You need to like do something else because it's obsolete now. It's a bit like Newtonian gravitation.
No,
it's been superseded by the system.
That's not true.
No, that's not true.
In
So
Discord,
no,
they
it's not
can.
true. You can kick somebody out of Discord and they can rejoin Discord under a sock name. That's not true.
Oh right, yeah, I hadn't thought about Discord. Sorry, shout out
That's
to
the only way.
Discord.
That's the only gateway for the public. So it's the only thing that you need to worry about whether or not you're going to get kicked out of that particular part. But if you are, you can't rejoin, and people will try to if they're. You've got to do a lot to get banned from Betty's Discord. She's very fussy about not banning people unnecessarily.
Oh, I don't know. If you're a flat earther and you disagree with someone, that's that'll cause trouble. But if you're a ball earther, you can do whatever you want.
Oh my God! Is this going to turn into your politicization? Is that even a word?
No, let's move on. Let's start housekeeping.
Indeed. Any evidence of a physical, that's very important by the way, physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not from Betty's Hangout.
Yeah,
No.
just go high altitude balloon, Nathan, and you can see that there's very little refraction up there. It's almost none, so we can say that's geometric.
Not scripted. I made it up one day, and it's subtly changed each time I do the intro, but there isn't anything written down that says what I say. In fact, this morning, because I got something in my eye, I had to redo the Uncut and After Show intro, because I forgot what I was saying because I got something in my eye. And it's not scripted, just so you know. I've never written down my intro.
Why is it then?
Well, that's amazing. Then.
Did you notice he's done what ballers do, where I say, yeah, Nathan, go up high in a balloon, and you can see that there's very little refraction, and then completely obfuscated the point and talked about something else instead?
Yeah, my bad.
That's how it works. Yeah, that's why I said. Isn't it funny if you have to ask the ballers where is the horizon? They'll rather talk about clowns or the moon
Or their eye.
Yeah, or the eye.
Yeah, look,
So wait a second,
They'll talk
Nathan.
about
You
anything and
never wrote
everything.
anything down?
they'll talk about anything and everything to avoid the fact that the geometric horizon doesn't actually exist. It's all optical because it's distorted in some way, to a little extent or to a lot of extent, but they'll never say that there's no geometric horizon. It's always optical. They'll still present boats being obscured by a bit of water, though, won't they, and claim that boats have gone over it, even though the boat looks like it's been made out of plasticine and distorted to hold the hell and back, but they'll still say that that's boat going over the geometric edge.
Well, they may not be so keen to say that. So in the pre-show, I don't know if it's before you arrived, Anthony, but Flatsword was telling us about some hesitance in that regard. I don't know if you want to repeat it, Flatsword.
Oh, yeah, I was on Jose's last night, and Chris Berry asked them. He just put a normal picture up, and then it's like, just showing, it's a video that just paused, showing water, the ocean and sky, and it's got a bit of distortion, and all of them are too scared just to point out where the horizon is. Like, how? You can see a definite divide, so you would know where the horizon is, but they're too scared to even point it out.
If I can find the clip that I want, I was having a back and forth with a guy, and basically Black Swan always comes up. It's amazing how many Bull Earthers are now claiming Black Swan has been debunked. But when you ask them to identify who done it, who debunked it, when did they do it, and how did they do it, they can't answer it. So you say, do you even know what the Black Swan argument is? And they don't answer that either. But they still claim it's debunked. It's just outrageous.
Well, I asked him last night as well. What came first, your geometric radius or your terrestrial refraction? and it was literally like dead still for 2 minutes, and then obfuscation straight after that. And I mean, I tried pushing that for like half an hour, and still I left the stream after an hour and a half. Not one person answered it.
Well, it sounds like Flatjoy that if they answer one, they're dead. If they answer the other one, they're dead.
Exactly.
Actually, wishful thinking, Sleeping Warrior.
Well, I found the clip. Is it worth? Can I put it up, Nathan, for a couple of seconds to show you what this guy shows?
Yeah, if you want.
It's literally, well, I think it's less than 10 seconds. Let me just get the bit. His name is brilliant, isn't it? He's got a brilliant name. His name is Willie Courts. Willie Courts, that's what his name is. But he's showing a boat going over the horizon, and I'm like trying to get him to admit what the horizon actually is, and he will not have it. He insists that this is proof that the globe is true. Now let's have a little look. How do I do this?
Right,
he does it right at the very end.
Some stages.
Give me a minute while I find. I got it. Right, here we go. Right, let me screen share. Right, so. Where's my page? There it is. Nathan Oakley is presenting. Where is it? How do I change that? Present my entire screen. Share now. Share that one. Then if I now...
There we go, it's working.
You see my mixer board, yeah?
Yeah.
Bring this one over to here. All right, so this guy, great name, by the way, probably his real name as well. He's put his location and where he is. He's on the shoreline somewhere, and he's showing different heights of different things he's done. And he's asking for, is there anybody that's got a better explanation to offer as to what's going on here? Now, for me, I look at that and think, if I'm a blurther, I've got to accept that really looks like we live on something the size of Pluto, because that's what how far away is that boat? It's not that far away, is it? Because he's got it within his zoom parameters, right? And you can still see features. How small is the Earth if that's true? Now, he won't even concede. He doesn't even know what the black swan argument is, but he insists that this is proof that the Earth is a sphere and the boat's going over the geometric edge, but doesn't accept that there's any distortions going on at all. And I'm like, okay, so he doesn't even understand the black swan argument. What do you guys think of that?
Hold on, do you see that?
He's claiming
the angular size change there?
Hold on, let's not offer alternatives. Hold on. For him to make the claim, he's got to have a physical geometric spheroid for a horizon. Hello? You've got to have a physical geometric
that's
spheroid.
What I was trying to get him to admit.
Well, we've debunked that. The fact that the guy is unaware or unwilling to look at how we've debunked it, and perhaps you've explained it to him. If the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon, that would be the physical geometric horizon, can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. We can demonstrate that it's beyond that, therefore breaking the physical parameters that their geometry lays down, debunking it. Now their response is to say refraction, but their refraction requires r, leaving them in a paradox. Can't measure r from a geometric physical tangent point if you don't have one anymore. So he either doesn't understand or is unwilling or ignorant of the debunking of the assertion that we have a physical geometric spheroid for a horizon. We don't. He doesn't get that, understand that, or otherwise, it's not up to us, sorry, Flatsoid, to offer alternative explanation. Feel free to. I mean, that's your prerogative.
But this is where they've hijacked perspective, right, Nathan?
Well, only when you run it through the maths. At this point, he's just claiming that there's a physical sphere edge getting in the way. There's no maths being offered, so there's no hijacking of perspective. He's merely asserting that the thing getting in the way is a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. It's the horizon blocking the bottom of the boat, according to him. Well, that makes the horizon physical geometric. And it can't be beyond certain limits, and we've shown that it is beyond those limits. Therefore, his assertion that that horizon is blocking the boat would give it physical geometric properties, which have been violated already.
Right, but you've said they hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve.
Well, in this case, he hasn't hijacked perspective to do it. He's just pointed at a position, arbitrary, where it appears the sky and sea meet, and called it Earth curve. He hasn't hijacked perspective to do that. That would be done in the mathematics. Maybe his reification comes from that original assertion. I can't divine his thoughts. But at this point, he's just pointing at the horizon saying that's an Earth curve edge getting in the way of this boat. What other explanation is there? Well, we could offer that, or point out that no, your assertion that you have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon getting in the way of this boat has been debunked. No explanation from me is required. Why would I start explaining why this is happening? It's his claim. He claims Earth curve edge gets in the way. It doesn't. We've debunked it.
Yeah, but we've never claimed Earth, the horizon, Earth curve is the horizon, or the right. What did Tim Osmond say?
Nobody says the horizon is Earth curve.
There we go.
Something like that.
Any more on this subject? If not, we'll move on to the next housekeeping question.
I just find it interesting that as the ship moves away, its angular size changes and the horizon moves with it.
Indeed, very interesting. We could go into detailed explanations of angular reduction, swells that are getting in the way, limitation of angle against the deck, foreshortening, all the effects of perspective, which in the maths are called Earth curve, as 10th man identified. But let's not. Let's just pull apart the fact they haven't got a geometric sphere edge anymore. Black Swan. Any evidence of the R value?
What came first? Radius or terrestrial refraction?
Which came first, which or terrestrial refraction?
Yeah, which R came first? The refraction or the radius refraction? The radius.
The radius came first. So the assumption by Biruni that he's standing on a physical sphere edge and can draw a straight line tangent to a physical edge of their sphere to derive a radius. Well, he's made the assumption he's on a sphere, he's derived a radius by way of dip angle from a not physical horizon to a non-physical claim to be physical horizon, and then he's derived R through trig. Well, you need the R based on the physical horizon first. Well, to have a physical horizon and then move it with R leaves you in a paradox. You've got to be able to see something physical and draw a straight line to it, not then say that it's bent because you've got a refractive value that uses the R that was derived from the straight line. Yeah, that makes no sense.
So making physical claims where there is no physicality.
Precisely. The horizon is not physical. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, I don't see anybody moving at 460 meters a second anyway, so definitely not.
It's all moving in lockstep, so you can't see the movement at all.
The stars
Or
are all
feel
moving in lockstep.
Or you just have to assume it's there.
Yeah, if the air and atmosphere, as they call it, is moving with the ground beneath it, first and foremost, that's not possible because gas is unbonded. It's not velcroed to Earth, it's unbonded. Secondly, that would give you no drift, and they claim Earth is turning underneath stuff with a 15 degrees an hour observable deviation from the ground. Well, that would be in violation of their claim that we have drift if they're moving together in violation of the first law of thermodynamics. So no, you definitely haven't got that.
But I did get the assuming part right?
That's a very difficult task to get right. Begging that
the
question so hard.
globiolus is a beautiful thing.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No. It's amazing that they can't even just give me an hypothesis for this.
Well, there's never been scientific evidence for gravity. It's a reification.
Tony, you're on mute.
That's correct.
Was
It's a
that Paul?
reification. Correct.
Hey, on speaker.
Sorry, I'm back. Is there any scientific evidence for gravity? If you're a blurther, you cannot even define the thing, yet you expect us to believe that it exists. And when pushed, the definition that you give is never the current position in science or physics. You always give the current position as per like World War One. It's not that anymore, guys. So if you can't even have the definition right, how can you have a conversation where you're trying to establish whether the thing that does exist currently is establishable or not, and you can't?
Well, you know what? You want to hear something funny? I asked someone, they said it's mass attracting mass. I said, okay, where do you observe it? They say, you can't observe it, but it's scientific.
Yeah, they infer causation and claim that's scientific. Well, we all know that you can't infer causation. You have to manipulate causation to establish that it's the cause. But I get it all the time with that egg test. Every single time a blurther comes along to try and pull it apart, they always say that it's not actually you doing it, it's you doing something, but then that causes someone else to act on it. And it's like, that's not what the definition says. They always infer causation. It's nonsense.
About any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Can it be scientific if you don't do experimentation?
No. Again, like yesterday, that's not.
Do any of them do experimentation?
You focused on this yesterday, Flatside. We're not even asking for that.
Yeah, we just asked for a hypothesis, but I'm just trying to find if it's scientific first.
Yeah, step 1, observe phenomena. Step 2, construct hypothesis. Step 3, validate hypothesis. Validate, that's prove. So hypothesis construction includes alternative and null. One is the antithesis of the other. If A, then B. A being your presumed cause that you're going to vary, B being the effect that you're trying to cause. If A, then B means you validate your cause. You cause B, the phenomena, to happen when you vary A. Now, the null hypothesis is the complete antithesis of the former statement that I just made. If A, not B, that would be you vary what you think is going to cause the phenomena. So you think it's going to cause B, and it doesn't cause it. Now, because you've got both in a hypothesis, when you perform the experiment, one or other, that's alternative or null, will be proven. So when people say science doesn't prove things, that's all it does upon experimentation. That's validation of a hypothesis. Validation of a prediction, scientific thereof.
So you would agree, if something is scientifically validated, it would not change?
Yeah, if you vary A and it does not cause B, it doesn't matter how many times you vary it, it's not going to cause it. Likewise, if you vary A and it does cause B, it's not like you'll come back next time, vary it, and it won't cause it.
Thank you.
So science proves things. Proves your alternative or it proves your null. One or other is getting proven. That's why it's an empirical method that's been hijacked to assert just so stories, because it's so powerful. Because it proves things.
I hope the Globies on Gems is listening.
Well, the Globies have been saying science doesn't prove things because they're afraid of what science actually does prove.
Or moreover, they've got pseudoscience offerings which we prove to be just so stories. And then when we say your science isn't proving what you're claiming it's proving, they say, well, it doesn't matter because science doesn't prove anything. As a justification for why their pseudoscience just so story fell apart. They'll relinquish any involvement with science by saying it doesn't prove things when that's all it does. Validates hypotheses, that's all it does.
It's funny how they'll use it saying, well, how do you think we got the computer? Or are you saying it proves things with technology? Is that what you're saying? How did technology get in this?
I think it's just a gaslighting attempt, really. I think that's how it started. That you would say it, on the internet, everybody gets to hear it, everybody can record it, potentially. But out there, before the internet, you could just say, like, science doesn't prove anything, and somebody would be like, whoa, I never thought of that. So they would get away in the moment. I think it really built up from that angle as a gaslighting tool to quickly just like win, even though a vulnerability was getting exposed. But now it's different.
I always get the ballers that say to me things like, oh, but your experiment didn't prove something. And I say, really? So what happened then? And they give me what they think. And then what I correct them, and then they give me then an equivalence in their head that they think shows that I'm wrong. And they often go to a light switch on the wall. And they'll say, yeah, but according to your theory, if I flick the light switch, the light will come on. And I'm like, yeah, and it does. And they say, yeah, but that's not the cause, though, is it? And I'm like, well, will the light come on if you don't flick the switch? No, but there's more to it, though, isn't there? And I say, well, yes. But if you make the prediction that there is more to it, then you've got to demonstrate that there is more to it and there is more than the one cause. Now, we know that light switches, you've got wires, you've got power going down the wires, you've got, there is more to it. You've got all the bulb, the filament's got to be working. We know that there's more things involved in the light working than simply pressing the light switch. But if you didn't know that and it was contentious and somebody said, no, there's got to be a power source putting power into your house, it's got to be connected to the grid, which we all know to be true. But if somebody made that claim, they would have to show that it's true. by disconnecting you from the power of the national grid and demonstrating that unless you're connected, then your light switch will not work. But obviously, we're talking about something that's not contentious. We all know our light switches work. But in the context of gravity, when it is contentious, and I say, well, if you think that it's correlation only and you think that there's an additional cause, then demonstrate it. And then all of a sudden they go, and then it stops. But they don't like it stopping. So they insist by inference that it's there, even though they can't manipulate it. They will never, ever admit that they can't manipulate gravity. And therefore, it's outside of science. They want it to be inside of science by inference only and won't accept it. That's why I put 10 citations at the start of the video to tell you that it's the thing that I manipulate, not the thing that you want to believe is the thing that I manipulated. And they still ignore it. It's outrageous.
That's why I
You
said
can't manipulate something when you don't know what it is and you can only describe it in a metaphor. How are you going to manipulate something that you can only ever describe in a metaphor?
That's why I say they so-called experimentation is mathematically deduced. It's not an experiment, and they call it experiments. Sad, really.
Okay, so it's a false equivalence, Anthony. So what makes a DV, a dependent variable, the thing you're studying? What is that?
The effect.
And what is the effect when you're talking about natural science or physics?
Well, doing something, an action.
Specifically where? Is it in your house, in the electrical system, or is it occurring in...
Oh, I know. It's defined that, Nathan. It's in the physical and natural world by the definition.
Right, so when it comes to your light switch example given to you by a glober, we're not trying to establish the cause of something that, when you get to the root of it, it's man-made. So the reason isn't because you flicked a switch, it's because a man made that circuit and the light bulb or whatever else is involved. So we're talking about the cause of natural phenomena. So when it comes to gravity... I'm nearly there, Anthony. Give us a chance. When it comes to natural phenomena, the first step demands that you would observe it occurring in nature.
The problem with that, though, is that if I kill it at the start straight away, they perceive that that's just a weakness and they want to beg the question. So sometimes I let them beg the question and then undo the raveling of the question that they're begging. And that way, sometimes they at least see my point, but they never see my point. They never admit that there's a problem with the false equivalence that they're doing, begging the question. They just insist that gravity is there no matter what, no matter how you debunk it.
Okay. And where's that? Exactly. And where's, we got there. Where's there?
Where's there? What do you mean?
So back to what a natural phenomena is. Something occurring in nature, and you're saying they say it's there. Well, where is there? Because if there isn't occurring in nature for us to figure out the cause of it, then it isn't a natural phenomenon for you to need to figure out the cause of it. So when they say we think it exists there, how you phrased it, then where's there? Is it in nature? Show it me.
Yeah. That is the issue. They all think that there is something happening in the real world, that objects fall down, but they don't. They think it's a phenomenon because they see things fall down.
Wait. So just knock that on the head. Let's just do it one thing at a time. They think what now? Objects go down as I let go of a helium balloon.
Yeah, but that's man-made, though, isn't it? We made that.
What about the helium or any gas? Is that man-made?
Yeah,
when it goes up?
We don't look at them. We pick the ones that we want because 99% of objects fall down. Nathan.
Okay, slow down. As much as it's fun playing a baller. What do you mean you don't look at those things? You mean you simultaneously ignore the things that are going up when you assume that there's a force making things go down when they don't?
Yeah, 99.9 is enough for me. I'll go with the 99 majority.
No
worries. I don't care about that little bit that doesn't.
Okay, so what we're establishing is there is not a natural phenomena of things go down, go boom, boom, because some things go up. There's no phenomena.
No, I'm ignoring them, Nathan. So it does in my world.
Yeah, but I can point that out as we've just done, and then we don't have a phenomena to be studying with science anymore, do we? Because it doesn't exist in nature. This assumption that things go down isn't actually the case.
But that means that I've got to accept the 0.1% that doesn't do that.
You don't have to accept it. It's just a fact of life.
But I don't want to accept that fact of life. I want to believe that everything goes down, go boom, boom.
You can believe what you like.
So you believe in a universal down bias?
You're welcome to believe.
Of course, everything goes down, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're welcome to believe in this bias as much as you'd like. Beliefs aren't what we deal in here, though, are they?
What I do want to point out is that when all the ball earthers believe that things go down, right? All objects of mass, that is like a rubber or a pencil or anything that you pick up, they're all solid objects, right? And they're all more dense than air. The lightest object, the lightest solid object that we've got is that blue stuff, that aerogel. It's 6 times more dense than air. So the perception that there's a naturally occurring phenomena is a false statement in the first place. It seems that way, but if you know what you're talking about with relative density, all solids are more dense than the medium that we're in. So there's no perception there. There might be the perception, but until you get told that all objects of mass are more dense than the medium, then it's no longer a phenomena. There's now an explanation for why that is the case, and it's not a phenomena at all. It's understood.
Okay, and if the medium wasn't air, it was, say, water, would it be the case that all objects of the densities that you described, a rubber or I forget what else you described, would they all go down, go boom boom in a different medium?
No, because water is 1,000 times more dense than air, roughly, and therefore a lot of objects suddenly are no longer to fall down, go boom boom. Suddenly a lot of objects will start to rise, and some of them will even suspend within the matter and look like they're floating. How cool is that? You could do some science with that.
Good. So if in this instance, it sounds like there's a naturally occurring phenomena where some things move up, like gases in an air that we're breathing, that's the medium, and some things go down, whereas in different mediums, it sounds like it's relative to the medium. We'll continue, but some things go down. So the phenomena would be things moving in different directions, correct?
Sure. I mean, I don't like the term up or down. I know that we use them because we're humans and all directions are relative to the human. But when we're talking in units like temperature or speed or density, the correct vernacular would be into the more dense or less dense position, depending on the medium. So let's not use up and down. They're relative. Let's use more dense and less dense. But if we do use up and down, let's understand that they're just subject and relative to the human only. They're not absolute.
So relative to the medium, an object of a specific density will take on a vector relative to our perception of it.
Correct. And we can represent it. We can even do a bit of maths with it as well, you know. We could divide the density. Go on.
Yeah, let me run something by Anthony. All right, let's say you got solid, liquid, gas. So we got an ice cube, we got liquid water, and then we have phase change of gas. If I give you a cork from a wine bottle, will this ice cube support the cork?
Well, it's a solid, isn't it? So in the matter of in the real world, because ice is a solid, it's able to resist stuff because of its solid nature. Yes.
Okay. How about if you put the cork in the water, it would float?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to check to see the density of cork relative to the density of the medium, and if I found out those two numbers,
floats.
Yes, cork
I know.
Floats. Okay.
Yes, I know. I'm just giving the explanation if I wasn't sure. I'd divide the density of the cork by the density of the medium, and then the answer would give me a relative direction, and it would tell me the magnitude as well.
All right. So just from overall experience, if I put cork on water, will it float or will it go down like a anvil?
The water will displace the cork, and the cork will appear to be less dense than the water and sit on top.
What about in steam?
That's where I was going next.
Well, the cork's a solid and the steam is less dense than the solid, so it's not able to support itself. However, in a vacuum, the cork would appear more heavy than what it would do in the steam because the steam's got a slight buoyant effect. So relative to a vacuum, the cork would be more heavy or down, or whatever word you want to use. And then in steam, it would appear to be less heavy or less dense because of the medium it's in.
Do we live in a vacuum?
No, but all objects of mass are greater than zero. So when they do drop tests in vacuums, the vacuum medium is zero and all masses are greater than zero. So are a binary 1. And they will all, if you pick them up and then drop them, they will go back to where you just picked them up from.
But just let me summarize.
The differential will be maxed out.
Hold on.
That's how you should say it.
So in summary, with a cork,
go ahead.
In summary, you're saying with a cork, depending on the temperature, in this case with water, it could be the case that if the water is solid, then it completely suspends the cork. In other words, the cork sits on top of the ice cube and doesn't in any way penetrate the ice cube. Whereas when you were asked about the same exact cork in liquid water, then you'd find that you'd have to make a calculation because you couldn't be quite sure whether or not it would be dipping a lot into the water, maybe halfway down the water, or sitting completely on top of it. You don't know until you calculate it because it's somewhere in between. And then when you get to it being in steam or gas, water, liquid, vapor, then you've gone from liquid to gas and it sits at the bottom of whatever was the chamber containing all of it.
Yeah. So just to extend that one little bit further, because the cork I wasn't quite sure about, and I then did a quick calculation and thought, right, it's going to sit on top of it because it's less dense. This is where you can cross-reference it into real world with boats, because generally boats sit on the surface unless they're sinking. And you can see with the Plimsoll line that they have a load line where if you're in England where it's dense salt water that's cold, then you can't load your boat as much. Because if you head south towards the warmer tropical waters of, say, Jamaica, where we drop off all our tea, for example, to fit the stereotype, when we've loaded it to in our more dense water, we're able to be more, well, I'll use the word buoyant. But when we get into the tropical waters and the density of the water around the boat changes, a lot of the boats were sinking. So you've got to be careful with relative density, because obviously gravity didn't increase whilst the boat was traveling further south. It was just the density of the water around the boat. So the Plimsoll line proves that gravity doesn't exist because the boat isn't actually getting any heavier, but it's relatively getting heavier because the water around it becomes less dense.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Sorry, wait.
They can't even establish whether the sun's a gas giant or a plasma or a solid. Robitaille claims that the surface of the sun is a solid. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but you would think that a PhD Robitaille would be able to establish a consensus within science, that because a lot of people think that the sun's a giant hydroplasmic cosmic ejaculation thing, whatever they call it, that plasma thing or whatever, gas or whatever. There is no consensus to what the actual sun is in current science. And some people think it's solid, some people think it's plasma, some people think it's hydrogen, fusion, whatever. But there is no consensus to what the sun actually is. So until we know what the sun actually is, how can we actually calculate how far away it is when we don't know what it is?
I don't even know where it is or what its actual size is, or if it's even tangible.
It's definitely an interesting naturally occurring phenomenon, though, right? It does appear to go below the surface of the Earth. That's an interesting phenomenon that we could do research on, but we can't do any manipulations, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't appear to go beneath the surface of Earth. I've never seen the sun going into the ground.
It goes into the horizon, the apparent position.
Oh, it reaches a not actual position.
Angular limits?
Yeah, it reaches a not actual location.
Don't you think it's amazing that everything is angular limits with distance?
As opposed to physical sphere edges getting in the way of stuff at not actual locations.
Well, isn't this the same argument about people are antipodal to us? So because you already presume you're on a sphere and there's a north and south pole, that when it goes away, it's going antipodal when it's not?
Correct. It's going behind the sphere edge that you've automatically reified by way of suggesting that there's a tangent point to a horizon, making it a physical sphere edge for you to measure, derive an R value, and then claim that it's not physical and move it to a different location. Interesting, eh?
Don't you know, it's actually, they overcomplicate things. It's so easy. If you just understand it's the luminary moving and not us, it's just moving over its cycle. Why you want to complicate things that we have to move this and we have to do that?
I've got to give a shout out to Cleary. He's on this thing. He's it's a little bit off topic, but it does directly apply. He's got these things that are like the 10 commandments of being a baller, and he calls them axioms. And basically, it's things like any evidence and all evidence is proof. First of all, he assumes that the Earth's a sphere. And then his second one is that any evidence and all evidence, even if it doesn't support sphere, is evidence of a sphere. And if it isn't, and then his third one is something like, even if the evidence appears to be contrary to the sphere, you can make it into evidence for a sphere by your imagination or words to that effect. But the way he says it is such a poetic way of saying it. I'm hoping that he does a concise video where he gets them all just like axiom 1 and then states it, axiom 2 states it. But I watched it on his channel the other day. It's absolutely brilliant because it is exactly what they do. Any evidence and all evidence is always a ball no matter what. It's brilliant. Shout out to Cleary.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
We've been
Nah,
through
just
this
P waves and S
yesterday.
waves.
Been
P
through
waves
this
and S
yesterday.
waves.
Were you waving what?
P waves and S waves. That's all I need to say.
Stop waving that P around, please.
P waves and S waves. That's all I need to say. And then
Yeah, that is all you
show
need to
that
say.
little diagram, and then that's it. That's proof.
Okay, does your
I dug a hole to China.
Does your diagram include a presupposition of a sphere part of the diagram?
Yeah, and there's no other way it could be possibly perceived. Apparently, squiggles on lines can be perceived in any way.
Okay, so you're going to assume a sphere and then make a diagram based on the P waves and S waves that you're describing here. So what do they show you, this P wave and S wave thing?
Well, what they do is they put it through a ball and they show that because P waves penetrate both rock and liquid, but S waves only penetrate rock but not liquid. What he does is he shows like an echo, a dolphin's echo kind of effect with a ball and different layers of rock and whatever. And if you really squint your eyes and imagine it, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But when you see the information that they're basing these interpretations on, it's literally squiggles on paper, and from that's how they contrive this thing, and so to explain how they can have a molten iron core. Yet in the real world, the deepest hole they've dug is the Kola super deep borehole, and all of the the thingy predictions that they predicted were all incorrect. The seismological predictions is the word, yeah.
Well, based on that logic, then all Flatsoid has to do is produce a cup of tea. Then he dug a hole to China.
Hold on, but hold on, guys. Were the P waves and S waves used to make the prediction for the Kola super deep borehole, though?
Yeah, they predicted four things. They predicted that the density of the layers of rock would increase with depth, but they found that it actually decreased. They predicted that water would only be found up to a certain depth, but when they actually did the drilling, they found that it went much deeper than they ever anticipated. They predicted that they didn't predict that there would be the Conrad continuity layer, which is to do with the metamorphic change in rocks. They predicted that would occur at a certain point, and they were miles out with how far away it was. And there was another one to do with boiling hydrogen mud that was released from below under pressure that they never expected to see, because hydrogen was never considered to be a product of the Earth, because hydrogen is the lightest element. So for it to be trapped within the Earth's crust, there wasn't an expectation, and they didn't predict it. But when they saw boiling hydrogen mud coming out of the Kola super deep borehole, they were like, "Ooh, that's not what we expected." So shout out to the four predictions from seismology that got the Kola super deep borehole incorrect. So how they can rely on that for the shape of the molten iron core, I do not know.
And was all this based on a model, just like the model I have in my hand and that's to China?
Yeah, it's all based on assuming that we're on a sphere.
So based on you drawing out a diagram that assumes we're on a sphere and then using unreliable predictions, P waves and S waves, you can deduce by way of formal logical fallacy, presumably affirming the consequent, that your unpredictable predictions, is that the right term? Your incorrect predictions with P waves and S waves prove that your model that presupposes a sphere is correct. Is that what you're saying gets laid out as a proof of the molten iron core?
Well, yeah, if you imagine that it's true, then that makes it true.
I see. This is garbage.
No, this is my model, and I can imagine that that's how it's true, and therefore it's true. Anything in my imagination is true, Nathan.
I see. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No. Come on, there's got to be more to this than that.
I need at least 2 containers to demonstrate that, overlooking that there's a third one they're standing in.
What you're saying is, if I ask for a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, you'll roll on 2 containers.
Yes.
I mean, I tried to do a demonstration with pressure with my egg, but I needed the pint glass to do it. But if I tried to do that without my pint glass, does anybody think that I could get that to work unless I just imagined that there was the pint glass there? Then it would work. But actually doing it, no, it's not going to work without the pint glass.
Right,
Need the pint glass to get the pressure.
I'm going to put Retro Bill's question to you all. Am I missing something? Question mark. Even if the scientific method, which is the best method we have for determining truth, cannot, quote, prove things, then why does the word proof even exist outside of mathematics? Well, outside of mathematics, mathematics just describes things. It's not providing you with proof or truth. It's just a description.
No, but maths is always right, though, Nathan.
But science does prove things retro, Bill. So, as detailed earlier, the null or alternative will be proven upon hypothesis validation. That's experimentation. So, upon your attempt to vary what you thought caused the effect you're studying, if you vary it and cause it, you've validated the alternative. If you vary it and it doesn't cause it, you validate the null. So one or other's getting validated. Well, validated, proven. You're either proving that you didn't know which cause was going to cause the effect, or you vary what you thought was going to cause it, and it does cause it. One or other's going to get proven at the end of the process. So it definitely proves things.
Right. And proving things was used as a terminology way before science and the scientific method were even conceived of. Because proving is basically putting the deed to the word or the deed to the idea, proving it, like you're fire-proving something, you're testing yourself. You can prove what you are or what you think you are by acting, for example. So proving things, yeah, that's how you make out things are real on very different levels.
I mean, if you're validating that independent variable, you know that's what's the cause. How can you say that's not proving what the cause is if that's what you want it to cause?
You can't. It is. That's what science does.
Nathan, do you remember Laurie and Lawrence Krauss?
Krauss?
There was Laurie. I can't remember her surname, but it was Laurie and Lawrence. They used to have a duo show, a bit like this. But
there's no way they've got the Krauss bit from, but yeah, Lawrence, and his surname's right, and Laurie, whose surname eludes me, she has a channel called, I think it's called Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel. And he's got a channel called Lawrence Wright, and at the moment he's appearing with JLB, so he does a few discussions with JLB, causes loads of feedback. Lawrence, sort it out, mate. Anyway, yeah, what about them?
Somebody sent me a link to them yesterday and asked me to have a listen to them now, because obviously they're on their journey, they've gone through they know it's not a ball. And they're at the point now where they say, well, the AE map doesn't work either. Now, whether you accept the AE map does or does not work, their point at the moment is that debunking the AE map means that the Earth's not flat. And I'm like, are you joking me? No one even ascribes to the AE map. We might use it as a reference point to describe an equivalence. But I don't think anybody really knows how big the ocean is. Pardon?
Say again, Chocolate?
I was asking, are they still stuck in 2015, 2016?
2015.
Yeah, that's where they're at. So what they're doing is they've took the position that the flat Earth's not true either because the AE map doesn't work. Well, nobody says the AE map does work. It's just used as because let's be honest, the most we've got is P900 and a compass, right? You can't expect us to plot out using GPS coordinates or whatever when the oceans don't have GPS over them and we don't have access to the GPS systems. But if you gave us $53 million for a day, for just one day, we could work it out, but we've only got a P900 and a compass. But my point is that they're at the position now where they think that the Earth's not flat because the AE map doesn't work, and I'm like, God, that's unbelievable.
Hold on.
So they're taking the model and not the reality then.
The model of what? Hold on, let's break down what the AE map is. This is very 2015, but let's just break down what the AE map is. So in this instance, we're talking about one very specific. Whoever's making that background noise, can you stop in G+? A very specific azimuthal equidistant projection of a sphere. Now they're talking about the North Pole centric azimuthal equidistant projection of a sphere. Now, to acquire said azimuthal equidistant projection from the North Pole with the ice ring presented to you in lieu of Antarctica, that's just the way the map projects itself out. Now you can project that map from any point at the centre and it'll work. It's just a way of projecting out a map. Now the map itself has been derived by assuming a sphere and mapping out a flat plane. Now Brian's not here to give you endless details about this, but feel free to check out any of Brian's presentations in this regard. But ultimately speaking, in terms of the way that they're actually going to survey the land, it's surveyed as flat. Now that's then transposed onto a sphere and then projected back out onto a flat map. So you go through this whole convoluted process of assuming a sphere, measuring it flat, projecting it onto a sphere, mapping it flat. Well, that's done intentionally so that people get lost in that little rabbit hole. Well, back in 2015, we had a guy called Tiger Dan. It was Tiger Dan 926 from memory. And what he did was say, well, Earth is flat. Here's all the reasons. Then he went on to say, I'm going to make a map. He then proceeded to reproduce the azimuthal equidistant projection and plot out how planes would fly over this projection, and found that they didn't match up very well. It's like, well, that's not how that projection works. It only works in terms of accurate distance measurements from centre out. In other words, when you measure across it, it suddenly distorts it so much that the measurements don't work. Now, as Anthony rightly points out, nobody's claiming that this government-produced azimuthal equidistant projection from the North Pole as its centre point is in any way a representation of our world. The map is not the terrain, is what we say. We don't live on a map. So if they're saying, well, we debunk a straw man model that we don't say we live on, therefore Earth isn't flat, it's like that's so flawed in logic, it's untrue. You're debunking a straw man model that we don't live on to assert that something that is obviously and observably the case isn't the case. Well, you're not debunking anything. You're certainly not debunking the obvious and observable nature of the world. And to get to your azimuthal equidistant spherical projection from the North Pole out, you'd have to first measure it flat, precisely as they do. Now, the Globers would respond, well, we assumed it was a sphere before we measured it flat. So what? It's still measured flat.
What measurements were taken?
Any.
Okay, so any measurement I take will show that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, do you want to start with Google Earth?
It doesn't matter what I measure. It doesn't matter what I measure. Anything that I measure shows Earth is flat.
Yeah, Google Earth. Let's start there.
No. I'm asking how I measure the Earth.
Okay, you take out an elevation profile on Google Earth and you show me how many 8 inches per mile squared it shows you. I can tell you, it'll show you it being measured flat.
That's not a measurement. Google.
Oh, really? So all the people who use it professionally and pay for it and then build stuff using Google Earth, you're saying that it's not accurate to use for those purposes? Wow, there's going to be a lot of people suing them.
I'm saying when you're checking what the map portrays.
You asked me if there was any flat measurements. I've given you one. Now you seem to be stuttering and stammering around a load of nonsense. Have you drawn out an elevation profile to show me how much drop there is?
We're not living in Google.
Stop stuttering! Have you gone to Google and drawn out an elevation profile to see how much drop there is?
We're not living in Google.
You asked me for a measurement. Have you done it? I've responded to you and you're ignoring me, pathetic coward.
I asked you to present a measurement. Yeah.
Google Earth, elevation profile. Are you deaf?
In Google Earth.
Yeah, have you done it?
We're not leaving in...
Have you done it? Have you done the measurement? Have you drawn out an elevation profile?
Earth, I asked you to
I'm going to mute you. You're not listening to me. You're talking through me. Last chance. One chance to listen. You continue to... Right, I'm going to ask to chat. Who votes I kick him out?
I asked you...
Who votes I kick him out? He's just gone into complete...
Kick him out. This guy's nuts. He does this all the time.
He's gone into complete fundy Discord muting. So he doesn't have to listen to me anymore.
The real world, Nathan. Of the real world.
What was my response when you asked for a measurement? I've given you one. What was my claim of a flat? He's talking through me before I ask him to clarify what I've said. So he's talked through every time I've said it. Now, when asking him to give me clarity of what I've just said, he talks through me when asking for clarity.
Okay, so you have not given a measurement.
I've given you Google Earth elevation profile, and now you're denying the thing that you've talked through 5 times.
Not, Nathan, this is not a measurement of the...
Oh, really? What is it then? You draw out how far you want in miles, and then give it an elevation profile, and it shows the land has no drop. That's not a measurement. What the hell is it then?
That's an elevation profile.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? Whether or not we've got a curved surface. Precisely the subject matter.
You said yourself we're not living on...
So we're talking about an elevation profile, and the very specific subject on the table is whether or not Earth's got a curve. And when I say Earth curve is not demonstrated in a Google Earth map, you asked for one, and you're saying that's not a measurement.
Yes, that's not a measurement.
Yeah, it is. You're an idiot. Who votes I get rid of him? He's just denying something I've given him as a measurement. Used professionally daily.
You said yourself
so
that
he's
you're
saying
not.
the people that created Google Earth are lying.
It's a
They
map.
haven't measured this.
You did not measure it, right?
No, Google did. Flat. No drop.
Are you the one?
Oh, so I've personally got to measure it. So the standards have had the goalposts moved by this clown. You present me with a measurement that shows it flat. Okay, Google Earth shows it's flat. Draw out an elevation profile. There's no drop. That's not a measurement. Yeah, it is. Well, you haven't personally made it.
Okay. So.
Do you require something we've personally made, Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, you there?
Okay, so where's the highest elevation?
Right, between where you observed the Isle of Man and St. Bees, would you say that has been observed flat?
Yes, completely flat.
How did you measure it?
It's also been modelled as per the observation, and it showed flat.
How did you measure it? I observed it. That's not describing the method of measurement.
Well, you can measure it using something called water, because water finds its level. And I accept that when water finds its level, it's not finding its curve. So by virtue of water
how
level,
did you verify that the level...
He's interrupting you. He's not being a reasonable guest, ladies and gentlemen. The globe-believing fundy has to interrupt every single challenge or claim that comes from his opponent's side. What coward.
How did you...
Don't interrupt. You're being told off. Don't now ask me a question. I'm telling you off. Shut up.
I'm not asking you a question.
I know you need to shut up when Anthony's giving you his answer.
You're not the one who can...
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
How did you...
I know that when I stand on the beach and the water comes
No,
up
what
to
he's
my
going to do,
toes,
Anthony, he's going to say, how do you, so that he gets the mic to ask you a question when you haven't finished making your statement. So he's being a completely unreasonable guest.
So I know when I stand on the beach with the water, when it first gets to my toes, I know that another bloke at the beach at the other side of the observation where the water comes up to his toes, I know that he is level with me. Now, level being straight, right? Not curved, straight, because that's what level means. Level doesn't mean curve. So that's how I measured it.
You would agree that water is horizontal.
Hold on, Flatsoid.
How did you verify that level is straight?
It's part of the word and definition. You having me on?
No, it's not.
You can't have a level curve.
Level means it has the same elevation at every point.
Oh, really? So therefore, in Google Earth's elevation profile, where it shows it at the same elevation at all points, that would mean that it doesn't have any curve then. This was my point that you said wasn't a measurement. But now we're talking about elevation. I specifically said go to Google Earth and get an elevation profile, and you said that wasn't a measurement.
Okay, so if the Earth is a sphere...
Maybe ignore every single word I've just said.
Okay, so if the Earth is a sphere...
So maybe ignore every word I've said then.
Don't presuppose.
I want to show you where you're wrong.
Well, you just talked about elevation. And I'm saying if you draw out a line in Google Earth, it shows it to be flat. There's no drop. There's no sphere Earth. It's not curving away from you. You said that wasn't a measurement, but now you're referring to elevations. Seems odd that you would decry Google Earth when it's a measurement because I haven't made it, apparently. But then you want to talk all about elevations? Have you done this?
So...
When have you ever taken an elevation profile measurement?
How did we...
Why are you stuttering? When have you ever taken an elevation measurement in reality, ever?
How did we verify...
Why'd you keep stuttering? Why aren't you answering anything? Why'd you keep asking questions rather than answering them? You've had a question put to you about elevation that you're now using, given that you've said that it's not valid when it comes to Google Earth showing how flat we are, because it doesn't show any drop.
That's not true. The same elevation...
Oh, really? It's not? So you've drawn out an elevation profile in Google Earth and seen that there is drop at 8 inches per mile squared, then?
No, but there's not supposed to be, Nathan.
Oh, really? Welcome to Flat Earth. We would agree there's not supposed to be 8 inches per mile squared on an obviously and observably flat plane, and Google Earth confirms it. And according to this, let me get it right, globe-believing fundy, we're not expecting to see 8 inches per mile squared drop.
Nathan.
That's my name.
I want to show you how your line of thinking is wrong.
I'm just drawing out an elevation profile, a measurement that's claimed to be accurate by Google Earth, and showing that there's no drop there, there's no 8 inch per mile squared, and your response is to tell us that we wouldn't expect to see it.
Yeah, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Flat Earth. We wouldn't expect to see it either. It's a funny thing to say, given that you would expect to see it, given you believe you're on a sphere, but Google Earth shows there isn't any drop.
Would you mind to stop interrupting me, please?
No, I'll do exactly as I choose.
Okay, so
nuts.
you have the right.
Destroyed yourself, Master.
Yeah, listen, you come in here begging the question, if Earth was a sphere, don't even say that again.
Not get interrupted, and that you
no, you
don't
were
get
the one
insults,
interrupting
right?
first,
Is this
and
how
then
this
you've
works?
been interrupting since. You're here to troll. That's all you are. And don't say if Earth was a sphere.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to understand something, but
Do you understand
I
the Black
asked you
Swan
for a
argument?
measurement.
I
Do you
gave you one.
understand the Black Swan argument?
I gave you one.
And then I asked you how you verified something, and I'm also not getting a response to that.
We gave you that too. I asked Anthony to describe it. So
Let's go back to that.
too.
You asked me how did I measure it, and I gave you an answer, and I'd like you to respond to my answer. I said that if I stand on the beach and the water touches my toes, I know that because water is level, that a guy also stood on the beach in front of me and the water touching his toes, I know that he is horizontal to me. He is not following a curve because water does not curve. It is level. That's my answer. That's how I measured it.
That's begging the question of the Earth being flat.
What? No, he didn't beg the question. He described the mechanics of water. He didn't just say, well, because Earth's flat, I know that the guy stood next to me is on a flat surface. That's not begging the question. He gave a detailed explanation based on the mechanics of water.
No, he did not show why. He did not show why the level of water, why a single water level has to be flat.
He doesn't have to demonstrate why the mechanics of water show flat. That's not his claim. It just is, unless you're challenging that. Are you saying that the mechanics of water aren't that they find and maintain level?
I thought that was covered with the word level.
That's why I asked. Does he know that level is horizontal and horizontal can't curve? So
you can't have a level curve. That's like having gas pressure in a vacuum. You can't have it. They're oxymorons.
He came in saying if Earth was a sphere. Well, let me give it to him the proper way. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles p, then every horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the root of the observer's height in feet, Q. Geometric horizon, curve calculators. Not Q, horizon distance is greater than 9.41 miles, therefore not P. Earth is not a sphere. And you have the audacity to come in here and beg the question.
With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, or joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
We'll check it if it's level or not.
That can work.
That can work.
Mate, you're a spastic.
You could be on a spherical floor then, yeah? And your ceiling would be spherical as well then, yeah?
Jen, I think you need to go back and read up on scale again. Wrap your hand around that.
Scale?
Why don't you wrap your hand around
you might not want to say things like we wouldn't expect to see in inches per barrel square. You might not want to say things like that.
How do you measure level is straight? Are you sure about that question?
Yeah, how did you measure it?
How do you measure level is straight? Now you're listening to your own question.
How did you measure that? I'm asking that question.
It's a stupid
I'm not claiming
question.
I have an answer for it. I'm asking it.
It's a stupid question, man.
Why is it stupid?
How did you measure level is straight? It's physics.
Why? How is it physics?
Didn't he define level before?
Do you even know what fluid dynamics? Do you know how water works?
Yes, I know how liquids work. Yes.
So it finds its own level, doesn't it?
It's not.
Level,
it's not
level is
sentient.
only horizontal.
No.
Horizontal.
Now you're going to deny the truth.
It's not
now.
actively finding anything. It's just subject to the to
They
natural
just
laws.
build buildings
and,
with water levels.
That's right, natural law.
And that,
so natural
and that
law
leads
tells
to,
you,
and that has
like
certain consequences for the surface soil. Yes.
like
I
you
also-
said, natural law states that water will always find its level. Okay? So there you are. Thank you. You answered the question.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Yes, it does. It does.
So,
It's
hold on,
natural law.
hold on,
Okay,
guys.
Bring me a citation, please.
Hold on.
A
You're saying it
citation for the
doesn't.
natural
Hold
law that
on.
states that.
So you're saying water doesn't find and maintain its level?
I'm not saying that it doesn't do that. I'm just saying that's not that's a
You just said
consequence
it
of natural
doesn't.
law, not what the natural law directly states.
So you're saying it does do that? So you're saying water does
It's a
find and maintain
consequence
its level?
of the laws of motion, by the way.
Which one? Does it or doesn't it?
It does. It's a consequence of the laws
It
of.
does. So water finds and maintains its level. Excellent. So Anthony's example stands, and you understand that. That's wonderful.
And that means it's horizontal what? No curve?
Yeah, but how did you verify that the orientation of horizontal is the same all over Earth? That
Do
all
you even know the
horizontals on
definition
Earth
of horizontal?
Did you hear what he just said? So it's the same. Yeah, but that means it's flat then. So welcome to flat Earth.
Providing a measurement for it. You're presupposing the flat Earth.
Oh, really?
Oh, we're presupposing.
Okay.
Yes.
So what about Google?
You're begging the question
Why
of
is
Earth being
Google
flat
not allowed?
to
Hold
say,
on.
well, horizontal
Hello?
being horizontal means it's the same orientation everywhere, and therefore the Earth is flat. But you're begging the question that Earth is flat to make that argumentation. You're not measuring it.
You asked for a measurement, and I'm saying, what's
Yes,
wrong
I
with
asked for
Google
measurements,
Earth's
not
elevation profile?
presuppositions, not begging the
Just
question.
talking through me every time I talk. It's just intolerable. I'm trying to get to the end of my statement to ask a question, and you just keep talking through it.
No.
So, why aren't you
Just like you
accepting?
won't let me
And
finish
you won't
my
even let me get
statement,
the
I won't let
first
you
words out. He's got to grab the mic and decide that it's going to turn into a question he's asking. Why isn't Google acceptable to you when they offer accurate elevation profiles used by professionals?
Because you're not understanding how elevation works if the Earth is a sphere. Apparently.
It's not assuming or begging any questions. This is just a measurement that you can take from Google Earth.
Why I won't let you finish yours now.
I'd like him to say how elevation works if Earth is a sphere.
Okay, so if the Earth is a sphere, I'm not saying it is, but if it is, then obviously the water level would form one elevation, would form a sphere, right? If you go on elevation 12,000 meters above sea level, above mean sea level, then that elevation would form a sphere.
On a sphere?
Hello, everyone shut up. Hello, everyone shut up.
If the Earth is a sphere, then that would happen, right?
Yeah, so what it's done is it's just done what's called an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If Earth's a sphere, and I'm not saying it's a sphere, were his exact words, but if it is a sphere, that would be his if P statement. Then water will wrap around said sphere when level. And water does wrap around said sphere, I assume, proving a sphere.
Hey Nathan, can you stop talking, please?
No, it's my show. How many times have I got to tell these dicks that think that they can come here and immediately take over with their fundamentalist religious zealotry, talking through everything that's put to them, that I will be the one that's shutting up? No, I won't be. I'll just point out how you've affirmed the consequent if P then Q, Q therefore P, by asserting that if Earth's a sphere, that would be a begging the question fallacy, then you'll have water wrapping around it. And because you assume Earth's a sphere, water must be wrapping around it, proving your assumption. Well, that's a formal logical fallacy. Can I shut up? No, I can rip your argument to pieces for an audience who's not going to have you fundy muting every word of it.
Okay, I'm not saying that the Earth is a sphere.
I'm not saying the Earth's a sphere. Guys in G+! So you're not saying if Earth's a sphere when you very specifically say, and I quote, if Earth is a sphere.
Yeah, I'm not saying that assuming the Earth to be a sphere.
If Earth is a sphere, very specifically assumes Earth is a sphere.
Yes.
Yes! So you are in fact doing that then. So when you say, I'm not assuming a sphere, when I state specifically that I'm going to assume a sphere, then you are assuming a sphere. A logical fallacy called begging the question.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yes, you are begging the question.
No, I'm not because...
Yes, you are, because the statement assumes your outcome.
I'm not claiming that the Earth is a sphere, just...
What, when you say if Earth's a sphere by presupposition? Yeah, that's you assuming it. Yeah, suck my balls. Yeah, enjoy it, share your pain.
Okay, so I'm not...
So you are begging the question, yes.
No, I'm not...
Yeah, you are, yeah. Saying if Earth's a sphere assumes Earth's a sphere, that's by presupposition, yeah.
No, yes.
Yes, that's right. So it's a logical fallacy that you can stop doing if you'd prefer to remain logical.
Fucking out. But you always stop him by the word sphere. Maybe he comes to the flat Earth.
Lichtwing, please stop. Nathan, I'm only saying what the consequences are if the Earth is sphere. I'm not...
You're only saying what the consequences are if you assume your outcome. Yeah, we know. That's called affirming the consequent. I detailed that too, but you told me to shut up on my own show. While I detailed how you'd affirm the consequent if P then Q, Q therefore P. Now, I know that you're detailing what would happen when you assume your outcome. That's called an affirming the consequent. I detailed that too. You didn't listen this time or last time.
I'm not saying that because of that the Earth is a sphere, okay?
You deliberately and intentionally verbalized it after thinking about it and then begging the question. So you therefore affirmed the consequent. You said if Earth is a sphere. You clarified it by saying that you weren't assuming you were on a sphere by that statement, which you absolutely were. And then you declared that water would have to wrap around it if you assumed it. And then said because it wraps around it, my assumption is true. That's affirming the consequent. Those were the words you used.
If the Earth is flat, that is in next sentence.
That's a different issue. I'm explaining. Please stop arguing me. I'm explaining.
Jin and whoever the other guy is.
You're saying, okay, your statement of you're bringing up the elevation profiles on Google Earth imply that if the Earth is a sphere, there should be 8 inch per square mile drop depicted on the elevation profiles. And I am trying to explain why this is wrong. And for that, I will have to explain what happens on the Earth as a sphere.
Oh, I see. So in other words, to justify why the elevation profiles show it as flat, you must first assume a sphere and then say it will measure flat if I assume a sphere. It does measure flat because I assume a sphere, therefore Earth's a sphere. Yeah, that's affirming the consequent. I've pointed that out 3 times now.
Okay, no, Nathan, I'm not saying you getting the elevation profile wrong proves that the Earth is a sphere.
I'm not getting it wrong. It's a measurement made by Google Earth.
The conclusion, that's not
my measurement. I'm not getting anything wrong. The elevation profile in Google Earth shows Earth is flat.
You're derailing from what I'm trying to say here.
No, it's my point. My point is that the elevation profile in Google Earth shows that measurably and observably Earth is flat.
It doesn't, because you're saying if
it doesn't, so there's drop in the elevation profile. Or do you need to beg the question that Earth is a sphere and then justify why it's measuring flat?
You're saying
you're stuttering like a stammering fundy, getting absolutely ripped to pieces by a flat earther. That's what you're doing. Yeah, Earth obviously, observably, measurably, demonstratably flat, and I'm backing it by citation with Google Earth and its elevation profiles that show it to be flat. And you're saying in response, if I assume it's a sphere, and I'm not letting you.
Okay, Nathan, your statement implies that if the Earth is a sphere, then...
No, I definitely don't beg the question of a sphere. My statement doesn't imply that.
You're saying...
No, my statement doesn't imply Earth a sphere. I would never imply such nonsense. That's your position, not mine.
No, I'm not saying that you're implying the Earth is a sphere.
Yes, precisely what you just said 30 seconds ago. So you're saying my position is if Earth's a sphere. I point out that's not my position, and you say I'm not claiming you say Earth's a sphere. That's precisely what you just said. I pointed out it isn't my position. That's your position, you clown.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're saying the Earth is a sphere.
I'm not saying Earth's a sphere. It isn't. It's demonstrably, observably, and obviously flat. Measurably, citation would be Google Earth and its elevation profiles, showing how flat it is because there's no drop.
Nathan, I'm saying that you're not saying that, okay?
Oh, I am saying that. I'll say it again. Earth is obviously and observably and measurably flat. And my citation would be Google Earth and its elevation profiles, showing just how flat it is because there's no drop.
Oh my God. Okay, Nathan, we are all in agreement that you're not saying the Earth is a sphere, and I'm not saying that you're saying the Earth is a sphere.
That's because it's not a sphere. It's measurably flat.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I'm not saying that
What
you're
the hell
saying the
are you
Earth is a sphere,
saying?
right? Because you're saying the Earth is not a sphere.
Okay, so if I'm saying Earth's not a sphere, and you're saying Earth's not a sphere, and you're saying I'm not saying Earth's not a sphere, I'm saying Earth's flat, then Earth's flat, right? We're in agreement.
You're saying the measurement of the Earth not being a sphere is that elevation profiles on Google Earth flat, right? That implies that you're saying this is a measurement of flat Earth.
No, I'm saying it is showing it as a measurement of flat. Not implying it, it's showing it.
Yeah, okay, you're implying that the...
No. It's showing a measurement of flat. Not implication. You're trying to imply when you beg the question that it's actually showing sphere, but it's actually showing flat.
By using the elevation profiles...
That's right, yeah, shows flat. That's correct. That is my claim and my citation.
By using the elevation profiles to show the Earth is flat, you're implying that the curvature of Earth should turn up in this elevation profiles if the Earth were a sphere, which it is not.
No, I'm not implying that. Is that your claim? Are you saying that elevation profiles would show curvature if there was any?
No, I'm not.
All right, well, they don't. That's good. So we're in agreement. It's showing flat. Excellent.
No, Nathan, we're not disagreeing because I am saying the elevation profiles are not suitable to make that measurement, to make that conclusion.
So if you want to measure how flat something is, elevation profile, how high or low it is compared to other pieces of land around it, wouldn't be the appropriate measurement. Are you insane?
No, the elevation profile does not show how high or low something is compared.
What do you think elevation profile shows?
Okay, it shows how high or low something is.
So elevation profile doesn't show how high or low something is. It actually shows how high or low something is.
Wow. You said how high or low. You said how high or low something is to the things around it, but it's not. The reference is not the things around it. The reference is the sea level, the mean sea level.
Level, so flat then. I see.
No, level does not equate to flat.
Oh, does level mean you're begging the question presupposition that level means curved? Because it doesn't. Level and curved are the antithesis of one another.
Either. I'm not presupposing this Earth to be any specific shape.
Well, you just said level. You used the word sea level.
Level, yeah.
Level, yeah. We agree then. So Earth level.
I'm not concluding if level is the same as flat or not.
Well, it is. It doesn't matter whether or not you understand basic English. Level and flat are synonymous. They are basically the same thing.
I'm saying you're presupposing level means flat. Level is the same as flat.
Okay, do you want to bring up a definition that says level is the antithesis of level then?
Assuming that.
I
say unless I have a measurement of it, I don't know.
We're getting into the semantics of level being level. This is pathetic.
No, we're getting in the semantics of level being straight.
And what does level...
Flat.
So level doesn't mean curved then. It means straight.
Fine.
Okay. And?
Is straight curved?
Is he fighting for a flat Earth, or is it just me?
It is fighting for a flat Earth. So great, we're all in agreement then. Level, flat, no drop, measured, observably, obviously, flat. Excellent.
Where did he go?
I don't know. I'm not paying attention to the Discord server.
So level doesn't mean flat. Level means straight, according to this guy.
That's what I want to ask him. If you're not assuming a sphere, would you still say water curves?
Is he finally admitting flat Earth?
Of course not. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Like it.
He's so trapped in cognitive dissonance, he hasn't got a clue what's coming out his mouth half the time, like most of them when they're in this position. He's got their mic open.
He's not dead.
Hold on, Brian, or Flatsoid, one of you. Right, it's Flatsoid causing all the noise. Flatsoid. Flatsoid. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Brian.
What he was trying to do is weasel in at the start. He was trying to weasel in that elevations are taken from the center of a globe Earth. Because he kept on using the word sphere, 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 forgetting that the globe is actually an oblate spheroid. So he would have ruined his own argument there, because all he would have ended up with is all the sea level is 0, but it's really all underneath it an oblate spheroid. But there's no way for him to connect the two, as elevations aren't taken from the center of an oblate spheroid.
It doesn't. I see. So you're going to say that he's going to assert this folly that the distance in terms of elevations to the centre of a sphere, which it isn't, to get around the fact that he's got a water level and no drop. It doesn't get around that, though.
Yeah, because
he's not going to get around that. He's not going to get around it. What he's going to do is either assert that elevations are taken from the centre of a globe, forgetting that it's an oblate spheroid, or he'll remember it's an oblate spheroid and say they're not taken from the centre of the oblate spheroid. That's why sea level is always 0, right? As opposed to being taken from the centre of a sphere, and that's why elevations are always 0. So he's going to be working either one or the other argument. But the one where he uses a sphere is incorrect because his model asserts an oblate spheroid, and the one where he uses an oblate spheroid means that he has nothing other than flat water, and just a claim that underneath the water is an oblate spheroid. It's a farce.
Right. They've got to beg the question to make their example make sense.
So, Brian, what you're saying is because they're presupposing a globe, a circle, okay, 360 degrees, that from the center to any point is going to be the same. But because they also say it's not a perfect sphere, it's an oblate spheroid, that can never happen. So water's level and everything about the Earth could be crooked underneath, right?
Well, he's boxed in because his model is an oblate spheroid. It has dual radiuses. The equatorial radius and the polar radius are different on his sphere, or on his oblate spheroid. So consequently, he's in a position where he all he can say is, well, it will always be 0 at sea level because, you know, we have to measure it that way. We have to measure elevations starting at zero at sea level. But underneath it's an oblate spheroid. But he has no connection to make there. Like, really, how is it an oblate spheroid? Yeah. How do you support that? No, he doesn't have any.
Yeah, Brian, this is the exact point why they try and throw 8 inches a square away, because then it makes a parabola. So the waters won't be able to line up to each other if they were using it as a spheroid.
Yeah, well, the oblate spheroid means
8 inches per mile is just sitting under the bus.
8 inches per mile square drop is just
in reality, you have to use sea level, whether you pretending you live on a ball or not, as your fundamental zero.
You don't
point.
have to. It's just the most useful.
What Brian's saying is if they do that, then they contradict themselves, because if that is level, even if you allow the term that curved is level, even allowing them that definition, because they then stick a parabola underneath it then defies that definition, because the sea level is supposed to be the same distance from the center of the Earth on their model. if you do it on a Blake spheroid, then no point is the same.
Why is it supposed to be the same distance? Why is it that?
You tell us. It's your claim. You tell us.
What's dictating that?
You tell us. It's your claim.
No, it's not. You're straw manning.
Okay, so elevation profiles measured as flat and demonstrated flat and drawn out flat. How in the world would that in any way imply anything spherical unless you beg the question and assume it?
They're not implying that, but they're also not concluding that it's flat. Like to make that connection, you will have to.
You're asking for implication when it's not.
Horizontals have the same are parallel all over Earth, or if level has the same if level is the same as synonymous with straight. You will have to verify that
when you
first. You will have to present a measurement for that first.
When you say all over Earth,
on what the macroscopic consequence of elevation.
Oh God, will you ever shut up? So when you say measured all over Earth, do you assume that that's a spherical Earth?
No, I'm not assuming it to be any shape. I'm just saying it has to be verified.
Okay. So if you don't assume any shape and the elevation profile shows no drop, then why would it be anything other than flat if you're not assuming a shape?
Because a drop is not. Because the elevation is giving the height of something above the mean sea level, the sea level that the above the it's giving the height something is above where the sea would be at this point at this place.
Okay, hold on, guys, hold on. Okay. Thank you.
That doesn't.
Okay, that means shut up. Don't fucking babble incessantly.
Just
yes, I get your point. It's in relation to sea level. Will you ever shut up?
That doesn't show us.
Maybe repeat the same shit 5 more times rather than ever letting me respond.
Then that shape would not...
indefinitely repeat the same shit over and over again so I don't get a chance to respond, right?
Just one more sentence. It's not that hard, Nathan. Just one more sentence. Okay, so through how elevation is expressed and how elevation is defined, if Earth is any other shape than flat or not, or if it is flat, this does not show up in the elevation profiles when we depict the elevation on the y-axis and the profile that we go along and on the x-axis. It doesn't show up there. We just can't conclude from an elevation profile to the shape of the Earth or anything else, just by the nature of how elevation works. Now I'm finished.
So, in conclusion, the elevation profile doesn't show any curve. And you're saying even though it doesn't show any curve, you can't draw conclusions from it.
Exactly. Even though it doesn't show any curve.
So why would you draw any other conclusion when it's not showing any curve that there is curve?
No, I'm not saying that I conclude the Earth to be a sphere because elevation profiles are flat.
Well, they show it flat.
No. Okay.
It's just, if you're just hand waving with extra steps.
Does not follow if P therefore Q, or if not P therefore not Q. That's just not true.
Well, no, it's if P then Q, P therefore Q. If Earth is flat, there'll be no curve. There's no curve because it's flat. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
So it's flat then. You're concluding the same as me. You're saying after the conclusion that doesn't imply it's not spherical because it's showing no sphericity whatsoever when you measure the ground as flat.
You didn't provide a measurement that shows the Earth.
Oh, we're back to this, the first hand wave. Yeah, Google Earth is my provided measurement, and the elevation profiles we've just discussed are a measurement that doesn't show any curve. Something you're admitting and now saying it's not a measurement. Why isn't it a measurement? Because it's not showing any curve.
It's not the measurement that
shows a sphere.
I already explained to you why the curvature, if the Earth is any other shape than flat, that shape won't show up in elevation profiles because of how elevation works, because of how elevation is defined.
Sorry, saying that it refers to sea level doesn't in any way imply anything other than you're referencing sea level and comparing it to the ground around it. Well, if Earth was sphere-shaped, the ground around it would be sphere-shaped.
Problem,
so what?
Nathan. That's the issue you're hung up on. You're not comparing it to ground around it.
No, Google Earth are. It's an elevation profile.
Yes, an elevation.
Yeah, so it's not my measurement. Is that back to the second crappy little straw man you asserted after the hand wave, that it's not my measurement? So we're going to go around in this circle again, are we?
If you like that, then we can go around in that circle.
Well, the conclusion was that there's no Earth curve being shown in an elevation profile, a measure of the land and how high or low it is compared to the stuff around it. Well, if there was Earth curve, I'd expect to damn well see it there. But you say it's not a measurement when I provide it. And then when we draw the conclusion about the measurements, you make it absolutely plain that there's no curvature there, and you agree. But you say that somehow that means we can't infer that it's not spherical. There's no implication to be drawn about the measurement of the ground when it's showing it flat.
Nathan, again, because of how elevation is, elevation does not compare the height of the things compared to stuff around it.
That's exactly what it does. This is exactly the same tactic you used in your third rebuttal. So we are going to go around the exact same circle. So when I got to this stage last time, I got you to say it's not measuring the height higher or lower, and then literally in the next breath say it's measuring the height higher or lower. So we're going to go around the exact same circle again.
No, you're leaving.
Yeah, that is what we're going to do. So unless you've got anything new to add in the next breath, I'm going to kick you out. I'm not going around this circle again.
You're quote mining me.
No, that's what you said. It's been recorded.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm not quote mining you. In the same statement, you said elevation doesn't measure how high or low stuff is in relation to the ground around it. And then later said it measures how high or low it is.
No, Nathan.
Yeah, in relation to sea level. Now, does that in any way imply that when you go inland from sea level, that somehow you've got a curved surface between you and the inland surface, when the elevation profile says no curve?
What's been recorded is you interrupting me on important parts of my statements.
Pound says you say something we've already heard.
Okay.
Just get rid of them.
What elevation compares to is not the stuff around it, but where the sea, the height above sea.
You said that like 15 times.
Exact definition.
We've heard that.
At this point. No, that's not what you said. You're saying the stuff around it.
That's what you said.
The stuff around it is not necessarily the sea, right?
And that somehow, how does that overcome my argument that if there was curve, you'd be able to measure it? And in an elevation profile, which is how high or low stuff is compared to itself, and in your rebuttal sea level, hello. Yeah, well, how does that infer in any way that there's a sphere on the ground we're standing on?
Okay, the elevation profile of a boat driving out on a sea would be 0 all the way through, right?
So flat then?
The elevation profile of the boat going out to sea, like because the boat is on the sea, it's directly on the sea. The elevation of the boat is 0, right? 0.
So flat. So it's all flat.
Yeah, and
yeah. So the conclusion, while I get interrupted, is the same as last time. That when we look at elevation profiles, how high or low stuff is, it shows it as flat. And when you look at sea level, shockingly, it's flat. Okay, we're in agreement.
Nathan,
like last time.
Nathan, here is the crux. For whatever reason, if the sea had some other shape than flat, then a boat driving along it, on it, all the way through, would still have an elevation profile of 0, completely all the way through.
That's a contradiction in terms. If it's all at the same level, you're saying if it's all at the same level, it wouldn't have the same value.
No, it's still on the same height above sea. It's still on the sea directly.
So it's all level then? It's all at the same level? Sea level? 0? Always? But you're saying what? If I assume it's a different shape underneath, then it's still going to be 0 all over? So back to the part where you last time did exactly this and affirmed the consequent with if I assume Earth's a sphere, but I'm not assuming it's a sphere, but if I make a statement that absolutely assumes it's a sphere, then water would have to wrap around it. And you're saying that would be 0 everywhere. So you're doing the exact same argument that we've heard before, even though you've claimed I've talked through it when I've pulled it apart. And in pulling it apart, you've agreed then and now that it's all flat and level.
You're talking again a lot, you know.
By talking, you mean pulling apart your argument for the second time on the same show, because you've gone around the same circle twice. Yeah.
Starting to talk while I'm still talking.
Yeah, because we've heard it twice. And I'm just making it that little bit quicker. Yeah? Next time this crap goes down the drain, it'll be even faster still. Will you object about how quickly I'll get it to go down the drain the third time?
You're not...
Yeah, no, we're at the same stage as last time when he started stuttering then as well. So, yeah, we've gone through the whole motion twice. Everything. From begging the question to affirming the consequent to you stuttering when I point out just how screwed you are. We've gone through the whole gamut, the entire, presumably rehearsed process again.
Okay, what I'm saying is that the shape, if it's straight, flat, or not straight, right?
No, it is actually measured straight and flat, though.
Does not show up in the elevation profile.
No, it does. It shows it as flat and straight. So you're saying if it measures, shows, and is demonstrably flat, it's not going to show up whether or not it's flat. That's nonsense.
Okay, Nathan, the elevation profile doesn't demonstrate the shape of something, right?
It just doesn't show the sphere Earth. It doesn't demonstrate a sphere Earth. It shows everything as flat. So it doesn't show your fundy belief.
It will always be flat.
Drives over the sea. If a boat drives over the sea, the elevation of it will always be 0. It is on the sea.
Yeah, so flat then. Yeah, but we've gone over this twice, now 3 times.
Yes.
Yes. So we're all in agreement then. Everything's flat.
You're not understanding the abstraction you're making by making an elevation profile.
I see. So when I make an elevation profile and look how high or low the land is in relation to everything around it, and that apparently has got 0, the point marked as 0 as sea level. Fascinating. But when you look at all the other land around it and how high or low it is in relation to each other, it's not showing any Earth curve whatsoever. Now, because it doesn't show any Earth curve, you're saying it's not a reliable way of showing the shape of the Earth.
Yes.
No,
well, it just measures it and shows it as flat. It just doesn't show it spherical. Therefore, what? Hand wave dismissal?
Even the Earth is a donut shaped. It will be level, everything, in the elevation profile.
Even if it's donut shaped, it would be level. Do you not understand how that's a contradiction in terms, my friend?
It's a problem he's having right
Do you not understand how that's a contradiction in terms?
For the fraud.
Sorry, my friend. I'm trying to respond to someone else.
He can't have that.
Logical disaster. I'm trying to respond to the other guy. Sorry, do you not understand how that's a contradiction in terms?
No, it's not.
I'm not talking to you.
It doesn't matter who you're talking.
Other guy. Do you not understand how saying if it's donut shaped, it will show as flat?
Even if it's donut shaped, you make an elevation profile, it looks the same. If a flat Earth, donut shaped, triangle shaped, it's always the same elevation profile.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yes.
That's a contradiction.
And you always measured the elevation to the sea level, to one thing that is always the same.
Level.
And
it's
you
level.
Don't have to put it in your picture.
Licked wink.
You not have to put,
Licked wink. Hello. Can I respond? So, in reference to, quote, sea level, you say?
Yeah, that's what we what's it here? Compare everything
to the,
and you don't have to put it in the picture.
To the sea level.
It don't matter.
Level, you say?
You can take it much longer, the word.
But I think getting louder is going to help you, my friend. You just seem to be ignoring me every time I repeat your words back to you.
Only,
maybe get louder. Maybe get even louder through me, my friend. I'll try again.
Maybe if you get a little closer to the mic, we can hear you better.
I'll try again, my friend. So you're referencing sea level then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you not see the contradiction, though?
No, there's no contradiction.
So level, in reference to a donut Earth, would give you the same position from any vantage point in reference to level. But that's not a contradiction. I haven't finished, my friend. Hello, maybe talk through me louder. Maybe talk through the conclusion louder. Maybe that'll make you win. Maybe talking through me before I finish will help you win. Maybe this is you winning. Maybe this is you winning. Maybe this is you winning, my friend. My coward globe friend. My coward globe head friend. My coward globe head friend. Maybe talking through the end of my statement is you winning. Maybe I can try again. So, we don't seem to be recognizing the contradiction between something having a curved or donut-shaped surface and something being, quote, level. Do you not understand that that's a contradiction still?
We have in every system, we have a force down. In flat Earth, we have a force down. On a globe, we have a force down. And on our donut, we have a force down to the center of the axis of the donut ring.
Oh, well, elevation isn't measured to the center of a sphere, Earth. Didn't you know that?
What?
Elevation is not... Shut up!
We're not talking
Shut
about
up! You stupid old man! Shut up, you stupid old man! Elevation, I'm correcting you. Hello, old and ignorant. Hello, hello, I am correcting you if you can shut up long enough. Can you shut up? No, mate, elevation is not measured to the center of the Earth that you presume is spherical. You are incorrect. Didn't you know that?
I don't say that. I don't say that.
You just specifically said that. Only about 45 seconds ago.
We have three.
You're going to ignore me? You're going to ignore me?
We have a flat Earth.
You're going to repeat the same thing that I've just pointed out when you assert that it's measured to the center again, and then deny it only 30 seconds later.
Why you go over me?
Because I've pointed it out and you've ignored it. What was my rebuttal? What was my rebuttal? Repeat back my rebuttal, my friend.
Spherical Earth.
No, not your claim, my rebuttal. I've heard your claim. This is the third rendition of it. Can you repeat back my rebuttal?
No, what I'm doing is to make the...
Surprise.
Yeah, what I'm talking about clear. I clear up what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've heard what you're talking about, and I've rebutted it. I'm asking you to repeat my rebuttal back to me.
Of these four shapes, the three shapes, and... with this, and all these shapes is water.
Okay, when you're done.
On the flat Earth, the water goes all over the plane. On the globe, it bends around the globe. On our ring, it bends around the ring. Then the center of the force is to the axis of the ring, not to the middle of the donut. And in all these three situations,
what force?
We have always the same level. It's only the sea, everywhere, all time the sea level.
Okay, so
yes, everything that goes above the sea level is elevation.
Thank you. So always the same level, then.
Yeah, that means you can't recognize the shape of the object by the sea level.
And it's always the same level. My God, do I only get 2 words? Why are you talking over me?
Yes, come on.
You don't need to give me permission. You just need to shut your mouth after you finish a long, rambly statement that never ends. So, we're referencing it again, and there he goes again. Seem to have a little issue there mentally, my friend. So, we're referencing level again for everything. Correct?
Yes.
So it's all level.
We compare everything to the sea level, yes.
So all level.
We call sea level.
Yeah, level. So we're in agreement. Excellent. It's all level. Yes.
If you...
No, go on. Go ahead. Beg the question of it being spherical then. Go on.
Level is everywhere.
Yeah.
Even on a globe.
Oh, even on a globe? Why would you make such an assertion? And no, my friend, if you were stood on the top of a sphere, you seem to be talking through me while I rebut what you've just claimed. Why would that be happening? Are you a coward? Do you not want to hear my rebuttal?
Or maybe I get something wrong by my English translation, yeah.
Maybe if you shut up, you'd understand my English. Or side through me. No, you don't need to give me permission. Second time I've told you, clearly not capable of listening. Maybe talk indefinitely while I'm telling you to shut up. Yeah, I've already told you you don't need to give me permission. You just need to shut up, something you seem incapable of. So no, if I'm stood on top of a ball, then the surface of the ball falls away from me. It's not the same level if I'm on the top of it. That's absurd.
Everything at the same distance to the gravitational...
What's this? Gravitational what? So you're going to assume this gravity? Why would you do such a thing? Why are you going to beg the question of this not actual force that doesn't do anything?
I can't assume it.
No, you can't. But we still have the same statement from you.
How you assume there's no gravity on your flat world?
Right, what the hell's gravity?
There's no gravity anywhere.
Yeah, it's an unexplained
hypothesis.
Right, my friend. We're talking about surfaces that measured the same everywhere, all at zero. And you're talking through me, of course. Fundamentalist zealotry will get the better of them every time. We're talking about everywhere that you've clarified is level everywhere, all at the same level. And I'm saying level, and you're saying sea level. Same, reference to sea level everywhere. So we're all in agreement, sea level. And then everyone goes silent. Then you start inserting your fundamentalist religious beliefs about things like gravity. A pseudo-Ramonian force-based mathematical description in geometry of time and space bending. Nothing to do with everywhere being measured the same level. That's merely some reification that you've inserted from a basis of fundamentalist zealotry. So I'm not interested in not actual forces of pseudo-Ramonian force space. That would be gravity. We're talking about everywhere measuring the same and your description of it being level. And so far, we're all in agreement until we get to your zealotry and inserting things like gravity. Reifications from mathematics.
And what holds your water on your flat world?
It's level. Like you keep telling us, sea level.
What makes the water standing on your flat world? What happens?
Pardon?
Relative density. Yeah, the water is
okay. But we have a big relative density. Okay.
Yeah.
But if we build a tunnel to a mountain,
gravity. No gravity.
We have to very problems with the gravity of the mountains.
Gravity?
Then the mountain takes the...
Why are you assuming gravity again? Why aren't you listening?
What?
Didn't I just tell you?
Owen, please. Guys in G+, Guys in G+. Every time you do that, he will now indefinitely talk through me and not let me respond. The second time I've said it to him. You're assuming pseudo-Ramonian force space bending. That's the concept of space and time in Einstein. Don't talk through me, my old friend. Yeah? Thank you. So, second time. I'll speak slower. Try not to talk through me. No need to give me permission afterwards either to interrupt it for the third time. Thank you. Try and peg your ears back. Fourth time is interrupted. So, second time. Attempting to detail how bending space and time, gravity, has absolutely nothing to do with everything measuring at the same level. Now, are you going to just ignore that and assert it again for a third time about mountains? Or are you going to actually acknowledge that your conceptual reification of pseudo-force-space bending, that's space and time, isn't anything to do with everything measuring flat? Do you understand? I don't want to hear gravity again.
And why they have the tunnel builders problems with the mountains?
Well, you said gravitational problems when digging tunnels. That's where your example got interrupted by me because you asserted gravity, ignoring what I'd said only moments earlier about bending space-time not having anything to do with us measuring the Earth as flat, with no drop anywhere.
It doesn't matter what you said in this point.
What are you... Gravitational
You're talking
problems?
about the problem. If you build a tunnel through a mountain, you have to build it... You have problems with the gravitational field of the mountains.
What gravitational field? Arwin, thank you. Second time, Arwin. So he will now start talking through our discussion about you interrupting. Thank you. Third time. Gravity is the concept of pseudo-Ramonian force-space bending. This is not a force. It's not giving mountains anything. That's the third time.
You don't get it. Let's stop it.
Sorry, did you just say I don't understand?
Yes.
Really? What is it that I don't understand when it
If
comes
you understand it, you want to know or realize that these tunnel builders know what they're doing.
Sorry.
And they have problems with the gravitational field of the Earth.
What is the gravitational field?
Building tunnels.
What is
Long
the gravitational field? What is it?
I'm not a specialist. The other guys, they know that.
So what you're doing is an argument from ignorance. You don't actually know what you're claiming. You've just read somewhere that tunnel builders have to account for gravitational fields. I ask you what a gravitational field is and you don't know.
No, I'm not a specialist.
But I do know what a gravitational field is, and you seem to talk through me every time I correct you about your nonsense.
You don't know. You have
oh, really? So what is? I don't know. So someone, shut up, old man, shut up. Stop talking. So, mate, my friend, you've just confessed your ignorance, your dependence on my friend. How many times are you going to interrupt me? I know you're triggered, and this is emotionally struggling.
No.
Yeah, don't do it again, please. So, I've explained to you what the concept of gravity is. I've detailed the geometry. You, on the other hand, have told me how you do not know what this stuff is, but you've got the gall to tell me I don't understand. No, you have confessed only 2 minutes ago that you don't know what this stuff means. So I'll ask you, given that you've already confessed you don't know and have now got the nerve to tell me I don't understand, I'll ask you, based on your, clear understanding, confessing only moments earlier that you don't know what this stuff is, what is the geometry of gravity? What's it measured by?
What we know is that gravity has something to do with mass.
And what's that measured in? What would be the geometry for that?
If you have more matter.
What would be? Are you deaf?
What?
Do you have a hearing problem? Do you have a hearing problem? What is the geometry for your claim?
Geometry?
Yeah, for the gravity you're appealing to by ignorance.
Gravity?
Yeah, gravity, the thing you're claiming.
What has it to do with geometry?
Do you know the geometry or not?
He doesn't realize it has to do with the geometry, apparently.
Clearly not.
Really doesn't know what
That's right, Alwyn.
Yes.
It's an appeal to authority.
You have more gravity.
Sorry, my friend. When you finally get a hold of yourself and say, no, I don't know, we'll move on. But that would require some humility on your part.
Maybe I don't know what you...
No shit! Now sit your ass down and be told by someone who does know and has told you 4 times for you to tell me I don't know. How dare you sit your ass down and know just how ignorant you are while a flat earther corrects your ignorance. It's called shut up and sit down, you ignorant dick. It's called...
What did you mean?
You don't need to talk. This is why you're ignorant, because you don't listen. You've confessed your ignorance. Now sit down and be told.
Yeah, please explain.
I will, when you shut your ass up.
Make me smarter.
Shut up, ignorant man. You've just told us you don't know.
Be smarter. Explain it.
Look, smart ass. You've come here to correct me. Yeah, with your wavering, quivering, cowardly little voice. And you think that you can talk through me. You're ignorant of your own claim. Now, I know what you're claiming, and I know how to rip it to shreds. But while I do so, all you can do is tell me that I don't understand with constant interruptions. Based on your faith.
You're only shouting.
Shut up! Do
you
not understand the word shut up? We have established, while he still talks, the most ignorant one here, preventing everyone else, preventing everyone from learning based on your ignorance of what gravity is, right? You can prevent everyone else like a disruptive child in a classroom, standing on the desks. You don't know.
Nathan,
I'll tell you if you shut up.
Explain it to me.
Yeah, I would if you'd shut up.
Explain it to me.
Yeah, I would. You just can't shut up.
To me.
I would. But like every triggered zealot, you can't shut up. So, the geometry that you were ignorant of, and there he goes, like the fundamentalist zealot with a globe belief that he is, interrupting like a petulant child standing on the desk. I'll try for the 6th time. The geometry you were unaware of is pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. That would be length, breadth, depth, and time. Now, I'd like to thank you for the education you've received here, globe ignorant man. Hello, ignorant guy who constantly interrupts, who doesn't know what he's talking about when claiming mountains of gravitational forces. I'd like you to acknowledge what the geometry is. Perhaps repeat it back to me. Length, breadth, depth, and time. Pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Mr. Ignorant. No, total silence.
First, he won't shut the hell up, and now that it's finally done, he won't open his mouth. What's this deal?
No.
Because he thinks level can curve.
Yeah, I understand what he said.
You didn't understand what I said? Do you have a hearing problem?
No, I have a language problem.
Try to listen. That would involve closing your mouth.
You said some
Oh,
words.
he can't do that. So he doesn't have a hearing problem, he's got a talking problem. When you've finished standing on the desk, jumping up and down while I tell you something you don't know about your own
You
claim.
claim I'm silent, and so I go on.
Literally, this tactic
I'm not
didn't
talking.
work on
I was
24/7.
silent.
Why
I
do you
don't
think it's
talk,
going to work here?
talk
I
anymore.
don't get
And
it.
then you said I get silent. Why I not want to talk?
No problem.
So I go
I'll wait for you to be silent for 2 or 3 seconds. Then I'll
I
repeat
go
something
up.
I've already said. And we'll see if you interrupt it. So, the geometry for your claim that you didn't know when you appealed to authority was pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. That's length, breadth, depth, and time. A concept.
Do you understand? That's gravity. Pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Have you ever heard of that?
That is some explanation of gravity, yes.
This is Einsteinian gravity, yeah. Something you were claiming.
We not really know what gravity.
Sorry, the most ignorant person here is now going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Gravity.
So are you going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to your claim of gravity, given that you don't know what the geometry is?
It was silent. I come in and you start talking.
Yeah, you started telling me I don't understand what gravity is.
No, don't say that.
What are the 4 dimensions of pseudo-Riemannian 4 space? Can you repeat them back to us?
It's space-time, yes, I know that.
That's 2 of them. So what did you say? And
Space-time
time?
is 1.
So what are the other
Space-time
3?
is 1.
What are the other 3?
You said something for direction. I don't understand what you said.
My God, this is your claim, yet you're prepared to call me ignorant of this subject?
I go with that what I know. Know is...
You don't know anything. You are ignorant.
No.
You don't know anything.
Without matter, no gravity. That is what we know.
I have a short question, if I can, potentially. So what does this pseudo-Riemannian 4 space, all the directions with time, how does that relate to gravitational situations in a mountain that you brought up earlier? How does that relate to that? Do you know?
We have more matter, and the mountain changed the field of gravity. It's a geoid.
Right, the mountain
How?
appears to have length, breadth, depth, and time bending in it.
Yes. If that is gravity, yes.
What universe do you come from?
I think from pseudo-Riemannian.
Are you
I
laughing?
just can't
Can
believe
you
I
prove
heard
me
that.
wrong?
Repeat that question again.
So why is if the observers they do these measurements in the mountains, why they have the problems with the gravitational field? Well, the plumb line is not always to the center of the Earth. It goes there and change.
But you think
So assuming it's
It
fair.
doesn't. The plumb line is always straight down. You're talking a lot of nonsense. You have no idea what you're talking about. Nathan is after absolutely handing your ass on your own to do with your own claim and gravity. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just waffling on with nonsense.
He's not even spotting the tricks, the tests that we are subjecting him to. He's not even spotting the tests. That's how bad his knowledge is of what we're talking about.
So is he claiming if I walk through a tunnel that's under a mountain, my plumb line's going to change direction?
Yes.
Wow.
So he just literally doesn't know
If you
what he's
make very
talking
precise
about.
measurements, you will see change direction.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't.
Sorry, hold on. So you see a change in direction as you move along? A tunnel?
You make very precise measurements, yes.
So therefore, if I move along a piece of land, you're saying that it'll start to move away, it'll start to deviate, it'll curve, right?
Yes.
So
No, it has nothing to do with the elevation.
Thank you. Hold on, that's not. Sorry, I'm starting to get confused. Why has that got nothing to do with elevation? If it's dropping away from me, then it's lower.
It is about if the gravity. Let's make the gravities on this point
Gravity.
weaker.
What? Bending space-time again? Sorry. If the ground in front of me... Let me just repeat my question. Please don't interrupt it. Let's not do this for 20 minutes. If the ground in front of me is lower than me, then it's lower than me. Then the elevation is lower. And he did choose to interrupt me before I got to the end of my statement, didn't he? Because he knows that's the end of his argument. Right? Let's try again. I know Arwen's going to do it too. I'll try again.
Sorry.
So, if the ground in front of me is lower than me, then it's lower. Its elevation is lower. And you're saying, but if I assume gravity, no, we're not going to assume a non-force force that you can think of as a force that's actually the bending of space-time. No, we're not going to do that. But if something's lower than me, it's lower. That would show up in an elevation profile. That's precisely what elevation profiles do.
No. They don't show the gravitational field. They only shows the elevation.
So in other words, it doesn't show your fundamentalist religious belief in gravity, but it does show that it's flat.
This gravitational, you can experience maybe if you have water, and there are the gravity difference in the water, not in the water, in the difference in the gravitational field under the water. There will be humps or let's call it a hole in the water. It's not a real hole, it's just a little bit. If you make exact measurement, you will see the water is not really flat.
And where is this observed?
And the height of the water level depends on the gravitational field.
Sorry, the height of the water level? You've just described it not being level, it being curved. Where is this observed?
Level means here the water surface. I mean the surface.
Yeah. So we're now back to the end of the last time we went around in this little circle. We were all in agreement then, so it's level.
I'm talking about the water surface, not the water level.
So we're in agreement that the water surface is level.
It depends on the gravitational field, yeah.
Sorry, no, it doesn't depend on the concept of pseudo-Riemannian force space. Yes, that would be time bending. No, it's not dependent on that. My friend, why is it when I refute this zealotry, you immediately talk through me? Why is that?
You always claim that gravity is wrong. You don't prove it. Show it.
You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it is. You didn't even know the geometry. Yet you're going to tell me with your zealot hat on that it's real? You don't even know what it is.
Can you show me an experiment?
Sorry, you don't even know what gravity is, yet you're telling me, like the total zealot you are, that this is something that's real when you don't even know what it is.
The force is real, yes.
The force? I'll quote George Musa. Gravity is not a force. Or Brian Cox. Maybe he'll interrupt this one. Maybe you'll interrupt this too. Quotes from your pseudoscience priests, they're going to get interrupted, right?
Let's go.
Let's go with my quote that you're going to constantly interrupt. So, Brian Cox, there isn't really a force of gravity at all. George Musa, gravity is not a force. So, no, from your own priesthood of heliocentrism, it is not a force. What it is before he interrupts, because he's a zealot and doesn't like his own ignorance being pointed out to him by his opponent. What it is the concept of pseudo-force space. That would be length, breadth, time, and depth. Sorry, length, width, depth, and time bending. Not a force.
There was one word in it. Maybe you don't get it from these guys. What are you talking about?
What are you babbling about? You keep appealing to a force that you don't have.
Pseudo.
You keep
the
appealing
word pseudo
to...
was not... To put the word pseudo in it.
He's not adhering to priests, and he's not a
God.
zealot.
Yeah, they put the word pseudo in it. That's correct.
Sorry, I put the word pseudo in it, did you say?
Yes. Why?
Oh, sorry, you think I gave it that title?
No, you said that. I think they don't say that. That is,
sorry,
who
gave it the title pseudo Ramonian force space? Who gave it that title? Do you know? Hello? You just claimed I called it pseudo. No, I did not.
I know. I get it wrong here.
No, I'm asking who gave it that title?
Excuse me, I'm wrong.
I'm not asking right or wrong answers.
I get you something wrong in the words.
No. I'm asking who gave it that title? Who called it pseudo? Who titled it that? Do you know the answer? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, really? Why would you say that I titled it pseudo then?
I never heard that. But I never heard this, and so I think you put it in.
Oh, you thought I made it up? Would you like to know who gave it that title?
Yeah, it's clear.
Oh, that would be Einstein.
Yeah, okay.
So Einstein, my friend, there's a conclusion coming. Shock horror. Yeah. Not your conclusion, because you have nothing. I have a conclusion, because I understand what gravity is. That would be the purveyor, my friend, the most ignorant one talking again. Yet you don't know. We've established that. Now you can sit down and shut up while I tell you, because I do know. I know that probably offends you, that a flat earther knows more about your own claim than you do. We've established this offends you, and you're going to need to talk through it. Yeah, we know. Yeah. Einstein titled the geometry for bending space-time as pseudo. Now, I know you thought I gave it a title pseudo, but no, the person who invented this... my friend, I haven't finished. Yeah, the most ignorant person here still thinks he needs to stand on the desk while the teacher's talking. I am the teacher. You are the student. You don't know who gave it this title or why or what it is. You think it's a force.
Show me the text. Show me the text.
Sorry, and now you're going to demand what the teacher gives you from your desk?
Show me the complete text so I can read it myself.
Oh, you can go and read Einstein's field equations anytime you like.
No, it's special.
You could go and read Einstein. Have you? No, you haven't got the vaguest clue what you're even claiming. But you're going to demand that I tell you on your terms while I correct you and you tell me how I don't know stuff. Yeah, you're so arrogant, it's unreal. Go on, demand that I give you something again from your position of total ignorance, jumping up and down on your desk. Go on, make your demands.
Yes?
Yes! Know your place, student. You're being taught about the nonsense you've claimed here.
If somebody that tried to get rid of gravity, tell me something about gravity, then maybe I'm a little bit suspicious about that, what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's Einstein that's saying this. Einstein's labeling this pseudo.
Yeah. Show me this text. Maybe it means something different, something else.
What, you think pseudo doesn't mean pseudo? It's not something that I can refer to. It's the title of the geometry.
made no sense.
What, your claim of gravity, pseudo-force space from
No,
Einstein?
I have to look at this.
What, go and do research before you come and present your claim to a flat earther? Yeah, that would be a very good idea. Because if you don't do your research about the thing you're claiming, who's interrupting me from G+? If you don't do your research, you end up in a... You don't do your research, you end up in a position where a flat earther has to educate you on your own claim.
No, don't.
No, so you knew all about pseudo-force space?
Yes, I have to research it.
Yeah, you need to go away and research what you're claiming. Because shock horror, you've come here to tell us that mountains have got gravity, and if you dig tunnels through them, you've got to account for the gravitational force, presumably because you read it somewhere, and now appeal to that authority like it's some sort of claim that you can make from authority when you haven't got the vaguest clue what gravity even is.
That's what I know about gravity. I only said what the people they built these tunnels know about gravity.
We know you used an appeal to authority fallacy.
Oh, maybe they know.
Hello, we know you used an appeal to authority fallacy. We know.
The pseudo sentence.
Hello, we know you've used an appeal to authority fallacy. We know.
You claim you
eat your mic. Get a bit closer. Maybe get a bit closer to your mic while I point out that you've used an appeal to authority. Maybe eat your mic, because that's going to make you win.
Let's stop it.
Yeah, you appeal to authority. That's a fallacy. We know.
Yeah, I go with the people that has knowledge.
An appeal to authority fallacy.
Yeah, someone else knows is not an argument.
If there's a lot of people, they have the same knowledge, then they are right. You are not right.
Yeah, but you don't know what it is, so how can you use it as an argument?
I don't need to know.
Oh, right! You could just come to a Flat Earthers debate channel, not needing to know your argument, and think you can win.
No, I don't need to know.
I know. You've already told us you don't think you need to know.
I was going to say gravity.
Yeah.
And that was going to work out.
Just come and say gravity and you'll win.
Why debating if you don't need to know?
Very well. Newton gravity works very well in this world.
Using gravity works very well.
But he never claimed the hypothesis.
But that's a 106-year-old busted Newtonian gravity, bro. We're on Einstein, bro. You
Even then it works.
How you went back to Newton?
You only need Einstein's gravity. You only need for the space, for planets and so. There was problems with the Newton gravity. Here on Earth worked Newton very well.
Yeah, it works great, but he never claimed the hypothesis, though. You know that, right?
Never.
It doesn't matter. It works.
Absurdity.
Here's the other thing, though. If you accept that Newton calculates for quite well for gravity, and Einstein also calculates quite well for gravity, you must also accept that that's a correlative calculation that both people are doing because they're both calculating the same effect. Do you agree with that?
But the Newton gravity, we have problems in bigger scales.
It's not what I asked.
And there was a problem with Mercury, and how Mercury moves around the sun. There was not to they can't explain it with Newtonian gravity. There was some problems. But with Einstein's gravity, you can explain this movement.
It doesn't listen to anything. It just rambles on indefinitely. Listen.
But I'm going to ask the question again. Try and answer the question I ask, not the question I don't ask, the question I ask. If you agree that Newton can calculate quite well for the things that we observe in the real world, but also Einstein, using more complicated ones, can also calculate quite well, do you agree, yes or no, that that is a correlative calculation by both people? Yes or no?
Yes.
So correlation is not causation, but in science we want observation and experiment where we demonstrate the cause of an effect, not the calculation or correlation. Do you agree? Yes or no?
I don't understand what you mean.
That might be the problem.
Science, we're looking for cause, not mathematics or correlation.
No, that's a language problem.
Anyway,
understand what...
this started off with us asserting that the elevation profile in Google demonstrates the Earth as being flat. There's no difference.
Why they show a globe?
Pardon?
Wow.
You go into Google Earth, there's a globe, and you claim it is.
Yeah, but if I go into Narnia,
guys, hello.
there's a
Let him
unicorn.
ask his question. Hello. Go ahead. What was your question?
Nathan, he said if it's flat, why when you go into Google Earth do you see a globe? That was his question.
Is that what you asked, Lightwing?
What was the question? I said, if you go to Google Earth, there is a globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys.
And why they don't make flat Earth?
What's your question?
It was not a question. It was the claim.
So, I don't see the point.
Feststellung. Deutsches Feststellung.
Are you asking why?
Do you need rest? Do
You go there,
maybe need
you
to fall back?
recognize, see the picture of a globe in Google Earth.
Oh, it's a picture of the globe.
We are in have you globes in your computer screen or flat Earths? No.
One on screen now for my audience. Yeah, I'm asking. Are you saying why does it show Earth as a sphere in Google Earth? Not measure, but show.
They show you a globe there.
Yeah, because the
Why
majority
you make a claim that is flat.
Because the majority of the Western world are being told the Earth is a sphere, the model.
Okay.
However, in Google Earth,
exception that knows it's flat. Okay.
However, the measurements inside Google.
Maybe you are wrong.
Oh no, third time's a charm. The measurements, however, inside Google Earth don't correspond with what it shows visually. So where it shows Earth with a curve, that would imply that land is curving. But then when you actually bring up the measurements, it shows it flat with the actual measurements.
Alrighty then.
I'd like to bring to attention when he said about 20 minutes ago about the tunnel, and you brought up bending of space-time. He says, well, it only shows elevation, meaning in the tunnel. And then he said, not the gravitational field, and he gave it away. You can't experience it. So you can't experience this gravitational field. You can't show this gravitational field. But because they say it's there, and I read about tunnels, it must be true.
I said it takes the plumb line out of direction.
Can you show that?
No, it doesn't do that. What it does is the plumb line is always straight down. So it's not matching your oblate spheroid model. That's what's happening there. You should do some research on your own model. Never mind coming in to debate flat out. Learn about something.
Anybody ever shown a plumb line not pointing straight down?
No, that's what they do.
Oh, okay.
I want to just see how you can see gravitational waves. Does the whole tunnel
What's gravity?
warp? Does the tunnel warp while you're walking through it or something?
No, Flatside, he said you can't experience it. You just have to accept it.
Oh, so it's just literally then. Okay.
Yeah, he just made it up. And what he's doing with the plumb
No,
line
if
is
you
exactly
build a
what Brian
tunnel,
showed with the tangent planes being moved on a disco ball.
if you build a tunnel, so the gravity is always to the floor of the tunnel. The tunnel will bend and change
Always
direction.
to the floor?
Gravity isn't a
we
thing.
build the
It's
tunnel
not a
this
force.
way. That's our plumb line always get interact.
Listen, can we have a definition for gravity, please?
We build a tunnel to this.
So,
The tunnel will
Can
bend
we have a
and
definition
change
for
direction.
gravity, please?
okay, did you hear what you were being asked for?
No.
Can we have a definition for gravity, please?
Newtonian gravity?
No. Gravity is as accepted by current science, please. It is defined, and we do know the cause. I'd like to know what you believe it to be, and if you don't know, I'll tell you. So if you don't know, don't delay. Just tell me you don't know, and I'll tell you.
We're not talking. Not go to this space bending thing here.
No, he's not asking that anymore. Try and listen a bit closer. Do you want to ask one more time?
In the current definition of physics, gravity is defined, and we know the cause. Can I have that from you, please? If you don't know, I'll tell you to speed things up.
Don't know the cause of gravity. We don't. Matter has to be there. We need matter. Matter has no gravity.
Mate, you don't need to ramble on. You just need to say, no, I don't know.
I'll tell you. Just tell me you don't know, and I'll give it to you. But
I'm
if you do know
searching
it,
for this
tell me.
tunnel thing. I come back there.
Yeah, you spoke through him asking you for a third time to tell you whether you don't or do know what the cause of the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space is. You just need to say, no, I don't know, or yes, I do know, and then tell us what it is. Another long bloody pause.
We talked to this guy last night.
Probably Googling it.
Yeah. And he said he answered. Sorry.
Hold on. Go
Right,
ahead,
so
Chris.
I'll just do it. I'll just
Hold
do
on,
it for you.
Anthony.
So that
just 1 second
we can
before you
speed
do.
it up.
Anthony, go on, Crit. Do you want to get out what you were trying to say?
Yeah, he was here last night, and he said he answered all the housekeeping questions. And I said, come on the show tomorrow and test that.
Yeah, but we're asking him right now for the definition of gravity.
Which we should have done right at the very start.
He's
to be
back
honest.
on his
So
mic
kudos
again.
for Nathan for doing that.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Just try once more. We're back on track. He's just opened his mic, so he can. We just need to know if you do or don't know the cause.
So that's retarded.
Since 1915, Albert Einstein redefined gravity and is our current understanding of gravity in physics. It is defined as the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. It is not an actual force. It is a perceived force. It is an apparent force, but it is not an actual force, as the geodesic path remains straight. So how is it acting on any matter when it is simply a perceived curve that is not actually a curve? There is no acceleration.
I don't think he has the understanding what you just read.
But he claims that he answered every question, so I would expect him to be able to do that.
I never claimed that. Never.
How many did you say? You said you answered, I think 5, right? The only one you wouldn't answer is the core. Do you remember that? Last night you're talking to me and a couple other people.
Uh-oh.
I never said I'd answer every question.
Was one of the questions that you answered
it,
any scientific evidence for gravity? Yes, no, maybe so.
I guess that's a no.
Wow, this is like watching paint dry, man.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's like he's waiting for answers in text. It's like as if he's waiting for someone to send him the answer. It's like as if he's literally sitting there in front of a phone or a computer screen waiting for someone like Rumpus to send him the answer. That's literally what it's like. Him and your man before him. Him and your man before him, we just came in to waste time. As soon as that subject came up,
I'm searching for this tunnel thing.
Hang on. As soon as that subject came up that Anthony brought up about those people mixing up what the AE map was, him and your man, the other guy came in, Ernesto, whatever his name is, came in just to waste time. That's all they've been doing. This guy is like paint drying, reading a phone book. He's not able to, he won't answer anything. He's waiting for a text to come in before he answers or something. I don't know what's going on with the guy.
Or Brian, he could be just one of the masses of people who are delusional about the Earth model, and is here unprepared to defend it and getting his you-know-what handed to him.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a big shock for him. So he's trying to process it, and he can't really process what he's trying to say.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.